On today's episode of Homeworthy, we'll be stepping inside the beautiful homes of some of the biggest TV personalities. First, we'll step inside Emmy-nominated TV host Mar Jennings' Connecticut home, where his casual luxury style blends affordable decor with nature-inspired details from his lush gardens. Next, we'll visit Emmy-award-winning TV personality Carson Kressley's charming New York City home, a cozy space that combines old New York elements with his signature Kentucky Regency style. Then, we'll tour Bravo TV star Dorinda Medley's Bluestone Manor in Massachusetts, a historic home she restored with designer Marshall Watson and filled with personal touches. Finally, we'll explore the Roth Homestead, designer Jasmine Roth's stunning California home that she personally designed to create a seamless flow between indoor and outdoor living, filled with vintage finds and a serene color palette. You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story.
Hi Homeworthy, I'm Mar and welcome to Rosebrook Gardens located in Westport, Connecticut. Come on inside.
You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story. Like and subscribe for more.
Hi, I'm Mar Jennings. We're at Rosebrook Gardens, my home, and we're in Westport, Connecticut. I built a brand on casual luxury, and I make sure that I live and breathe my brand in everything that I do. Mother Nature is truly my biggest inspiration, as well as something old becoming something new. That eclectic magic of the mix is truly what makes a successful, happy home. My journey to this point has been quite quilt. I started off as a professional figure skater. I won regionals and sectionals in 1992 and 1993. A couple of years ago, I came back to win the world's senior men's category, which I was thrilled to be able to lace up and come back to the ice. But really, I went from being a skater to a banker, a senior vice president running the entire state of Connecticut. I heard over and over again that I was the most creative banker people ever met. And so it really got me to think about what really makes my heart tick. And then I started the migration of trying to put it to paper. So I wrote a book, Life on Mars, a 4-season garden, that documented the evolution of my Westport home here. And then I followed up with a Life on Mars, creating casual luxury, the interior design philosophy. And along the way, I've had television shows. I'm also a licensed real estate agent with a very robust team. And the best part about what I do and how I got here is that I'm able to focus on the past, learn from what I did, and apply those same disciplines and principles to my day-to-day life in a corporate environment, whether it be selling real estate or in the design environment. My home is about 2,000 square feet. It's truly what I have underscored as casual luxury. It's an eclectic collection of the things that I've loved, that I have found. I do not discriminate when I shop. I can shop in a big box store or I can shop in an antique center and everything in between. I always seek really quality and color tones and Mother Nature inspired. And I think when you come into my home, the first thing that really greets you is the fact that it's very, very open. There's a lot of natural light because I believe, and I've always felt strongly about infusing and blurring the lines between indoor design and Mother Nature and bringing those elements into my space by either doing something very organic, a terrarium, or color tones and textures. So welcome to my foyer. The key part of my foyer is this fantastic Dutch door inspired by Grey Gardens. I'm obsessed. Liz Lang, wherever you are, that Dutch door was my inspiration, and it's very functional as well. It's beautiful, but having two small dogs, whenever I have packages or Chinese food delivered, I can simply just open the top, take the packages, and close it, and I don't have to worry about the dogs running out. The one thing you'll notice throughout my house is there's great art. I'm all about landscape paintings, so you'll find that on every floor. It is 3 floors, so the house is stacked. And as we flow into my living room, I'd like to introduce you to my 2 favorite girls. This is Daisy von Schnorkenheimer. She is 5 years old, and this is the newest one to the family. This is Clover von Schnorkenheimer, and she is 6 months. So let me tell you about these 2 girls. First of all, they cohabitate beautifully together. They are the ladies of the house. Daisy now is sharing the responsibility with Clover, but as you can see, they've become very, very comfortable here at Roseburg Gardens. They have a nice yard. They have full access to all the bunnies. They are looking at them all the time, the squirrels. So this is really ideal for them because they are hunters, ratters. So for them to be able to see the rabbits and the squirrels, well, that just makes their day. That's better than Animal Planet television, for sure. So my inspiration for this room was really to embrace all the elements of Mother Nature. And I do that by the wonderful paintings that I have. This is a lovely collection of some older pieces and a Dennis Sheehan collection. This is actually called Brookside. It's one of his larger paintings. But most importantly, in this room, I wanted to have a television, but I didn't want it to scream a television over a fireplace. So this is actually a television right behind the fireplace. Now, when I first bought the house, the fireplace was an insert, so I quickly wanted to identify that. Let's build an old-fashioned fireplace. So I tore it off the side of the house and rebuilt it from the ground up. And by doing this, it gave me the opportunity to really build in the television and to make it a focal point without having it scream, there's a TV there. The best part about it is that the reflection works beautifully with the artwork. So unless I told you there was a TV back there, you wouldn't know it. Now, size and scale is a very big part of my overall design. I think it's so crucial to understand how your space is working, identify how you want it to work, and then find those key pieces. These are wonderful Mitchell Gold Bob William Sophia sofas, and they're just the perfect scale. I love the fact they have casters, and it is just a very comfortable love seat. And the fact that the fireplace is right in between, it really makes it for a wonderful conversation area. So I can very comfortably seat 6 people here between the 2 chairs and the 2 sofas. And then if I wanted to bring in more seating, well, I do have extra seating that I can pull in as well. So it makes it a fantastic place for conversation and socializing. The coffee table is what I always say, something old becoming something new. This came out of an old hotel in New York City. I loved it. It had some great patina and the bamboo, faux bamboo. And I just said, it's the size that I was looking for. And the moment I put it down, I knew it was perfect. The house is an open concept between the living room and the dining room, but one of the things that I'm most proud about was really removing all the doors and replacing them with the steel doors and creating a terrace right off the dining room area. Now, I do love to entertain. I'm not one for cooking, but I do love to entertain. And when I have intimate parties, I see here, and when I have larger gatherings and the weather permits, I'm outside under the pergola. This offers the most beautiful views of the garden. I'm a big gardener, so that's an important aspect of my overall aesthetics, is to really embrace Mother Nature, but also be able to use the space outside. This is a wonderful moment that tells a story of a variety of different pieces, and it's all curated based upon the things that I love, places that I've gone. some beautiful china. And when I look at this, I always say to myself, this is a little bit of who I am, a snapshot of my soul. Some of the key pieces here that really speak to me and have wonderful memories is certainly my china. Now, I'm a widower, and this was my wedding china, and for me, it's always proudly displayed to remind me of the past, but also to remind me to enjoy and to actually use those pieces. It's one thing to have them stored away, but it's most important to actually cherish those pieces and to get them out and to share them with others. So it reminds me each and every time when I look at that. On a wonderful rendering of the house and the name, because it's called Rosebrook Gardens, and it's called Rosebrook Gardens because of the roses on the property and the brook at the very end of the street. Ironically enough, during my television show, when we filmed an entire makeover block, we actually named all the houses, so they all have cute names as well. It's just part of our little street here. One thing that I also adore is when I am in this dining room, this is my favorite spot right here. And the reason why this is my favorite spot is because I can look out to the right where this terrace is now located. This was once a window that I removed and put the steel doors and created the patio. This patio is fantastic for first thing in the morning, coffee, read the paper, check your emails. This is where you want to sit. And when I dine, I sit here because I can look out to the terrace, but most importantly, I have a pretty moment that I look into the kitchen. Of course, my guests get to enjoy the visual beauty of the backyard, parterre garden, and outdoor living room space, which will go there soon. But for now, let's go into the kitchen. The kitchen is one of the spaces that I say that it's really designed beautifully. Even though I'm not a cook, I wanted to make sure that the kitchen was functional and beautiful. And this kitchen once ended right here, and I was able to bump it out, pick up all the storage underneath, and create a nice sitting area for coffee when it's snowing outside. This is where you want to sit, have your coffee, and read your paper. And I wanted to also have a moment of beauty. As I mentioned, I sit at the table, and when I look over, I see my collection of Hermes china that I have been cultivating and tracking down every piece I possibly can find, which is impossible sometimes. I'm very frustrated. I go in and I can't find the pieces that I need, but when I do, I continue to add to the collection. So it's something new, something old. The Staffordshire dog is something that I've had for many, many years, and it's just a moment that takes me back in time. Of course, Ida Garden's cookbooks are always on hand, and just a really pretty curated collection here that is functional, decorative, and beautiful. My Ida Garden cookbooks are proudly displayed, and of course, although I'm not a cook, I do love good food, so I will flip through the pages and I will say, either a friend of mine or a gentleman that comes and cook for me, can you make this? And we always refer to those books. So some wonderful recipes in there. So as we go into the kitchen, which was renovated about 4 years ago, I was all about maximizing the space. So once again, where I picked up a little bit of space in the back, I wanted to do the same over the kitchen sink, just to give me that feel that was a little bit larger. The real treat in this kitchen for someone who doesn't cook is the La Cornue stove, of course. I wanted to have a featured stove. Even though I'm not a person that can really use it successfully, I at least have it for other people to enjoy. The hand-painted tile was really important for me. I wanted something that was a little bit unique and not a cookie-cutter subway tile. I wanted to make the appliances disappear, so because it's just me, I didn't need an oversized refrigerator, so a smaller scale Sub-Zero was ideal. And then, of course, doing the cabinetry a lighter color above and then a wonderful light gray below was a compliment and kind of being able to make the room feel bigger. I do that with my design principles. I take larger spaces and make them cut them into smaller spaces, so They have different functionality in one room, and then I take one small space and I make it look bigger by cutting it up and giving different details that bring your eye to different places that give the illusion of a much bigger space. I also, very early on when I moved in this house, wanted to have the dark hardwood floors because I felt the dark hardwood floors would be a great contrast to the 9-foot ceilings. And when I renovated this, I added the shiplap, changed all the lighting. I have a great resource in Norwalk, Chloe Winston Lighting, that has such a curated, beautiful eye of decorative lighting. I'm a big fan of visual comfort, so you'll see a lot of that in the house. I love most about my home is the fact that I've been here 26 years. I bought it from the builder and then finished it, and it's truly my nest. When I was looking for a primary residence, I knew I wasn't going to find the perfect home, but I know that I could make a home perfect by my creativity and the things that I love. That truly makes a house a home. And it's in the village of Westport downtown, so it's very convenient to walk into town. It's a little postage stamp of a property, but it is totally all about outdoor rooms, outdoor spaces. There's multiple places to go, and I've had hundreds of people here at one time for different garden tours, and they're always amazed that every detail has some kind of attention or deliberate design behind it. And that, to me, really gets me up each and every day. But most importantly, my home is my brand, and sharing it and have people become inspired by it is truly my purpose. From the kitchen, we're going to a small hall that leads you to the cloakroom. And a cloakroom is a British word for a half bath. This half bath is quite special. It's wallpapered with some Philip Jeffries wallpaper, and it has heated floors. The dogs love that for sure, but it's a nice added moment when you come and you use this space. The vanity and the mirror are from Waterworks. It has a nice deep gray color, and it's very clean, but it's also extremely soothing. I have some lovely artwork. This is another contemporary artist with some wonderful lighting. It's all about lighting, and every light in this house has a dimmer. So here's the outdoor living room space. This is such a wonderful oasis. I have a fire pit, and I have 2 parterre gardens. The side parterre garden leads you to the side terrace, of course, that takes you to the front yard. But this is all about the height of the season and being able to enjoy this space with friends and family. The outdoor living room is truly a space to live in, and it is year-round, weather-proof furnishings. And the idea is to really congregate out here with a wonderful fire in the fire pit. It's flanked by 2 parterre gardens, and this is my boxwood parterre garden. And what's nice about the parterre garden, it creates some structure and some formality in the garden, but yet it's still very casual as well. As I mentioned, I'm a gardener and I really enjoy playing in the dirt. But most importantly, I love my garden to be organized as well. I'm all about planters, boxwoods, and look at this window box. It's right off the kitchen. Again, a pop of color, interest. This is a high traffic walking area between the outdoor area where we dine and the garden studio. This is quite a little bit of a movement. So I wanted to have people pause and enjoy the garden and take in the beauty. Now, I've been here for 26 years. The wisterias are 25 years old, and each and every year they bloom and they're prolific. The key to the wisteria is to make sure you show them who's in charge. And here's a perfect example. This wisteria has been here 25 years, and it's just growing, and you constantly have to manipulate the growth and let it know which direction you want to take it. And in the spring, when it blooms, it rewards you as a thank you, and it has beautiful flowers that are just prolific. It's a nice added detail that's unexpected for sure. Let's take a look at the garden studio, which was once a one-car garage. I did put my car in here one time, and then I realized that this driveway to the garage was not the best use of a small piece of property. So I started to chop it up and make some more outdoor rooms. The garden studio is an all-purpose. It's a great place to work. It has internet, it has phone, it has a heated floor. It's a functional space that's very, very decorative. And above, there's also an office above as well. So just like the house, it's stacked. It was the biggest footprint I could put for the property. So instead of going out, it had to go up. But this is my happy place. It has a lot of storage. And as I mentioned, I can talk straight to the main house. I can also page, bring me a cup of coffee, whatever I need. I have full access to the rest of the house. This island is a Ralph Lauren piece that I picked up years ago in the Hamptons. It was mahogany. It was a very dark color, and I had it painted white, but it was only finished on one side. So I had my carpenter match it so I could have it open. So the drawers on this side, this was closed off, so I had it matched and built out. And this is where I can sit on my computer. I have the wonderful tray, so if I want to move things out quickly, it's all on a tray. I could look and watch over the garden. I could turn this into a bar for any cocktail parties or dinner parties that I have, or I can quickly escape to the garden this way. And when I first moved here, I had planted 3 trees, architectural trees, and they grew up beautifully. But what I found as I spent more time here at this house is that the trees were not giving me the privacy I really wanted. So last year I removed the 3 trees and I planted these beautiful green giants, and they're very lush, dense, and very, very tall. I didn't want to have to wait, so I want them extra tall. The neighbor was fantastic because we were able to bring these trees from her yard through to my yard, not disturbing my gardens at all. That was ideal. Great neighbors are very important. So the key is now to have year-round privacy because they don't lose their leaves, and it's nice and tall and private. And I picked up a nice lawn so the dogs can enjoy this great open space. As we come into this garden area here, you'll see these beautiful terrain planters, and at night they're uplit. And it's just such a architectural detail that just comes to life at nighttime. And this is a pretty little walkway to an arbor and a gate that takes you to the front yard. Now, 5 years ago, I had this crazy cuckoo idea that I would build a new fireplace and I would also build the terrace. In doing that, I devastated this entire side property. So now I've been really working on, now that the hardscape is all settled and that work is done, it's more about the garden now and planting and bringing it back. This is a really pretty area to sit, but most importantly, it's a flowering garden, and we have lilacs, we have beautiful, this is a star clematis that's getting ready to bloom. So there's a lot of interest. Winter, spring, summer, and fall is how I plan my garden, because when all the flowers are spent and everything's gone, you still want to have structure and you still want to have interest. So that's why the evergreens, the tutors, the parterre gardens, and all the boxwoods create this beautiful anchor. And then you have the planters that are lit, and that becomes a little bit of a sculpture as well in the garden, which really, for me, just gives me that extended bonus of being inside, but being able to appreciate what's coming in the spring by still seeing the hardscape of the garden. As we come up to the landing on the second floor, this was really an important component of my overall design when I was working on this house for functionality and beauty. There was a massive wall here, and it closed off the staircase, and I knew right away I needed to open up that wall. But of course, when I did that, all the plumbing for the primary bedroom was right here. So they said to me, we can open it 2.5 feet. And I said, 2.5 feet? No, I need it really open. So we had to relocate all the plumbing so I could have it nice and open. And I think it was the right thing to do, but it was a little unexpected to discover that. But looking back, so worth it for sure. Now there are 3 rooms on this floor, as well as a laundry and a bathroom as well. I'll take you into what I call the media room, which is a bedroom, but I use it more as a media room. This is a very casual room. This is where I watch television. I could read the paper here, read some books. It has the best views of the garden, the back garden area. I've done plantation shutters, and I did a custom design. I did one big louver below, and then I broke it up with 2 above. And what I like about this is that if I want some privacy, I can completely close it off and shut it off and get some nice privacy, or I can let them stay open. There's some more wonderful art up here as well. The furniture is all about size and scale. The book collection, I have a nice collection from my parents' house that I have here, and I also have some beautiful artwork as well. The furniture is all about size and scale here. To make it work, it has to be all the right size to have it cohabitate together. The coffee table is a glass coffee table, which I just wanted it to disappear. So 0 visual impact in the room because it just disappears. And then of course these chairs, club chairs, are just upholstered in a wonderful fabric, and they're very comfortable to sit in. So you can have a delightful conversation up here while watching a movie on the television. So this is my media room, aka the bedroom, that's not being used for that. But if you want an overnight guest and somebody wants to stay at Rosebrook Gardens, I'll show you where they stay. So here's the guest room. So this is where people really want to come and stay. Now, when I renovated that fireplace downstairs, I only had 1 window in this room. So I took the window from the terrace area that I had downstairs where I put a door, and I brought it up here to have a nice double window. And I also went from a queen size bed to a full size bed, and I'll tell you why. If they don't love each other, they shouldn't be sleeping here. So the full-size bed is better scale, and it just looks better in the room. The nightstands can breathe. I wanted a serene and lily bed. I went with a very pale blue. I did a very interesting back architectural interest wall. I added some lighting, and I also curated pieces that have stories. So we have a new bed, we have new nightstands, new lamps, but when you flip on this side, there's some great art, and this is kind of really the ocean room because it's all about boats, if you notice. And this piece It's a funny story. When I renovated the house across the street, this was a dining room table that they had when they first got married 35 years ago. And we used half of it. I restored it and we put it up against the wall in their foyer. And I kept the second part and I used it for staging quite a bit. And when I was redoing this room, I wanted to find something that wasn't perfect, but was interesting. And I went back to the storage unit. I love all the inlay details. I added some castard, had it painted the high gloss, and it just worked perfectly in this space. Found this at an antique center and had it reupholstered. Nice little bench. And I'm just obsessed with cane and bamboo. And this little tiny chair was just so sweet. And the moment I changed out the seat and added a pillow and a throw, it just got a brand new future. And it's just perfect when it comes to this space because there's places to sit, but there's also visual interest as well. Let's go into the heart of the house. It's not the kitchen here, it's my office. So here is Mar headquarters. Now I have a television show on Amazon Prime and I have an assistant. I also have a real estate company as well. So between those two parts of the business, this office is used quite a bit, as well as the garden studio. And this is where it all happens. This is where we come together with ideas. This is where we plan out the schedule. Everyone has a computer. Everyone has access to their own phone. And this is technically a bedroom, but very early on when I moved here, I felt that I needed an office. And as COVID has underscored, now home offices are key to being successful because now people aren't commuting as much. So I had this up and going and it was just perfect because we did not miss a beat. We continue to produce great new episodes. We continue to have great listings, and this is where it all happens. This is where we come together with our ideas. The once closet has turned into more of a acknowledgement of some successes. There's my Tully Award and also some personal photographs of friends and family. But file cabinets, storage is key. Here is everything that's related to the business. On this side, we have a great space for getting inspired for fabrics, textures, wallpapers. This is where it's all housed. As you can see, it's kind of exploding. But looking for the right carpet, we have the sample here. We go through this and just make sure that what we have is not discontinued. And when we do a design project, we're able to lay out color tone story and really give people an understanding of what the palette is going to look like and make some recommendations. But it's always nice to be able to see things up front before you dive too deep into it. That way you know exactly what your client likes and it's easier to get to the finish line. And everyone wants to get to the finish line quickly and on budget. All right, so we're at the top floor, the treehouse of Rosebrook Gardens. Here is my curated sport coat clothing collection. Now, I built this entire area to be inspired by a boutique store retail because I wanted to see the things that I've curated and collected over the decades, and I wanted to be able to use them. So this was a great way to actually see everything, but most importantly, when I designed this, I wanted the glass to be able to highlight the working buttons on all my sports coats. That's an important part of what I like when it comes to a sport coat. I want the buttons to work, and by having it just underneath, you can actually see all the working buttons. It's lit, but the secret that you would never know is that right behind this is my furnace area. So I had to design these closets not only for them to be functional, to show off, and to have all the drawers accessible, But I also needed to make sure that if I needed to access the furnace, how do I do that? How will they access the furnace? I can't have them jump behind. So this and this, these two are on casters. So they pull out, giving you access to the furnace for any servicing. In the event I have to replace the furnace in another 30 years, both of them come out. But for access and maintenance, we pull this out, they go in, do what they need to do, and then it slides right back into space. The best part about this is that when you slide it out, the lighting doesn't turn off. Pretty cool. So the wire is nice and long. And you'll also notice here some great storage area. This was all customized. I did this. Little Insane, jeans, all lined up, shoes. And of course, I wanted to have a folding station as well. So I created a little folding station or a workstation up here. I'm up nice and tall, so I look down at all the other houses from up here. Because this is technically what would have been an attic area, I wanted to really remove every element out of the space and reconstruct it and make it really utilizing every corner I could possibly use. There is some storage right behind the bed. I didn't go with your traditional nightstands. I wanted something that was more interesting. I have plenty of storage, so storage was not an issue. I love the Jalisca lighting. Jalisca lighting gives a nice reflection in the room. Right behind here is storage that runs the entire front of the house. So that's where my suitcases are kept. I shiplapped the ceiling. I also made sure that I foam insulated this top floor. And in doing that, it became more energy efficient as well because you lose a lot of heat and cooling from the top floor. So by foam insulation, it kept everything within the house, making it nice and temperature control is very, very easy in this space. So this area is really where I have storage, but I also have a moment of beauty of things that I really have cultivated and wanted to feature. This is the iconic Birkin hack bag, which is one of my favorite pieces to travel with. It's only been out once to Paris, but it proudly stays here to remind me that I need to live and I need to travel. I have, of course, because I'm a rider and a jumper, I needed to have my Hermes horses as well. And it reminds me of my two little girls. And then, of course, the Birkin 40, which is a travel bag, a smaller bag, is ideal. And that has not seen the light of day. It's just kind of tucked away in there. But I can sit in bed, I could read beyond my computer, and I could look out and see the things that I really worked hard for and that I love. And this, to me, is a reminder of, okay, this is why I'm doing what I'm doing. Because I'm able to share my life, share my home, and enjoy these pieces that I've cultivated over the decades as well. One thing you will learn very quickly about me is that I do love a good orange box. And I never throw them out, I save them. So I wanted, when I built this, they said, oh, let's just take it all the way to the ceiling and give you a lot more storage area that you can light up as well. And I said, what am I going to do with all my boxes? So I said, no, let's bring it down and give me a flat area where I could stack my boxes and just have it be part of the overall decor as well. And everyone always comments about it, but it is a little bit of my passion. It's something that I love. I make it a point that wherever I go, when I'm traveling, I pick up a little something to remind me of that trip. And of course, I never get rid of the box. Shiplap, a wonderful sisal industrial carpet is in the bedroom here. Ideal if you have pets. The color palette is very earthy. It's complemented by blue and the sage green. And when you think about, you have storage, you have a lovely bed, which is a Serene and Lily bed as well, that organic element. There's light and reflection, something new, something old. You have something here that is very, very old that I put in here. I wanted something that wasn't perfect, but told a story. Found this at a antique place in the Hamptons, and it spoke to me, and I said, "You're coming home." The bench at the end of the bed is twofold. One, it helps the puppies jump into bed, and yes, I sleep with my dogs, and it also has a nice practical aspect to it, because here I can sit and I can put my shoes on, I can take a look at what sport coat I'm going to wear before I start my day. Home is where you are safe, where you feel you can grow as a person, professionally, individually, your family. I love dogs. I have 2 miniature schnauzers. So home can mean a lot of different things to a lot of different people. It could be just the brick and mortars. But for me, I dig deep. And I find that my home is my protector. We've all experienced storms, bad weather. This COVID period was devastating, but I felt that I was nesting in a wonderful place, and I was extremely blessed. And for me, putting my head on my pillow and knowing that I have created an environment where I feel that safe and that wonderful is truly what gets me up each and every day to do a great job and to live my life.
A Homeworthy. Hi, it's me, Carson Kressley, and welcome to Park Avenue. I haven't dusted for 30 years.
You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story.
Well, hello, it's me, Carson Kressley, TV's Carson Kressley. You might have seen me on Queer Eye for the Straight Guy, all the way up to RuPaul's Drag Race, and a lot of shows in between. And this is one of my favorite places. This is my home on Park Avenue here in New York City. I have always had a bit of an eye, even as a little kid growing up outside of Allentown, Pennsylvania, in a very rural community from the same, group of immigrants that came to Pennsylvania in the late 1700s. We settled outside of Allentown, always farmers. And I grew up in a very rural community on a pony farm, pretty gay. And that shaped me in many ways. I love all things equestrian. I had a very stylish mom. It was the 70s, and women were wearing hostess skirts, and probably families were putting keys in bowls according to the ice storm. And people dressed up, and they were kind of swanky about it. Even if you weren't wealthy, you still had a lot of flair and style in the 70s, and that had a great impact on me. And I also always loved interiors. We built our house in 1976 outside of Allentown. Of course, I helped my mom pick out all the custom draperies and do a mural in our living room. And I was the annoying 10-year-old interior designer, helping kind of decorate our house when we built it. So always had that passion for design, for creating spaces, love entertaining at home. Design has always been a constant thread in my life. I also loved fashion. And I went to Gettysburg College in Pennsylvania. And in 1991, the day after graduation, I packed my bags and I moved to New Jersey because I was too afraid to live in New York City, and I didn't know anybody, and none of my friends from college had jobs here yet. So I waited it out in a basement in Saddlebrook, New Jersey for about 6 months, and then got some friends to get an apartment together on New York's Upper East Side. I lived in the dining alcove. My 2 girlfriends lived in the 1-bedroom bedroom. And it was like Three's Company, but I don't think they had a gay character in Three's Company, but eventually. And I always loved designing that space too. It was Ralph Lauren days. I worked for Ralph Lauren. I loved the brand. I loved the aesthetic. I was a horse person. It just totally worked. Southwest was really big, and I had a framed print of Georgia O'Keeffe, and I had a 4-poster bed, and I had Navajo pillows, New York City, 1991. And then, after working at Ralph Lauren for quite a long time, maybe 7 years, one day, one of our producers who produced all of our photo shoots said, I was riding to work in a cab and I heard about this show. It's going to be called Queer Eye for the Straight Guy. It'll be on Bravo. And I was like, what's Bravo? A nonstick cooking spray? I didn't know what Bravo was. What it was James Lipton and a lot of very cultural kind of programming. And then I tried out for Queer Eye. I got the job. I was sad to leave Ralph Lauren because I worked with the most amazing people, including Mr. Lauren himself. They were so nice and they said, listen, if it doesn't work out, we'll hire you back. I mean, who gets that? So I started my TV career in 2003 on a show called Queer Eye for the Straight Guy on Bravo, Tuesdays at 10, I believe. And like a week or two after it aired, we were like on The Tonight Show and doing The Ellen Show and driving around LA wearing sunglasses, and people were recognizing us, and it was very strange, but also very fun. And we won an Emmy for that show. She's right over there. So every TV show I've worked on really is about utilizing my eye for style, whether it's Queer Eye for the Straight Guy or Get a Room with Carson and Tom or How to Look Good Naked, Dancing with the Stars. I've always put a style or fashion element into it. And now even working on shows like Barbecue Brawl and RuPaul's Drag Race, of course, it's about being a judge of style. So don't judge my style too much. I'm not a professional decorator, although I sometimes play one on TV. Okay, so when you walk in, I mean, this is New York City. It's not a lot of square footage. This was kind of like a weird foyer or something, and I was just like, I need room to host big dinner parties. So I did a built-in banquette, not that hard to do. You can also buy them from places. And then under it, I did these magnet doors with storage, so I can put skis and like winter clothes, pots and pans that I don't use, whatever. It's like an archaeological dig down there. I haven't even gone through it lately, but gives you a lot of storage and it gives you a lot of seating. I can seat about 10 to 12 people here. Newsflash though, my kitchen cannot cook food for 10 to 12 people. So if I have a dinner party, I order in and then I put it on the plate and no one knows. Don't tell anybody. The features in here, like I said, custom banquette. These chairs are, I think they're like Broyhill or Lane. They're from the 1960s. They are inspired by Brazil in the 1960s. I think the name of the chair is Brasilia. They were like the icky Brady Bunch brown. So I just had them painted white. I recovered them in this faux ostrich skin. It is like vinyl. It is indestructible. It looks great, but it's super easy to live with. On the banquette, again, pro tip, I did the nail head to really make it special. It doesn't cost that much. And then I did it in a performance fabric. That does not necessarily mean it's outdoor fabric. It just means that it's stain resistance is amazing. It's coated. It's gonna perform really well. This entire place and my house in Pennsylvania and my place where I sometimes stay in LA is basically very high-low. It's either like from a high-end designer or it's from Home Goods. Okay, so these urns, I love them. I'm a ginger jar fanatic. There's a couple things I'm crazy about. Ginger jars, porcelain dogs, and anything equestrian. So you're gonna see a lot of that here. And I love flea markets too. So flea market silver bowl, urns from Home Goods or HomeSense, one of those two. I love a hurricane. I use the little battery operated candles. They work totally fine. And then this table, this is really fun. I had this made because it's an unusual space and it has the interlocking C's. So it's kind of like a little bit of a Chanel vibe, but it's also C for Carson. And then I have just historic paintings of horses, either my family's owned or ones that I found when I was just out shopping in the market. So that print over there is a silkscreen by Joe Ando. A friend of mine who's a gallerist in St. Louis gifted me that. So I think it's really important to have lighting on your artwork So I try to do a picture frame light if I can. I also think it's really important to have variety in your artwork. I tend to go a little, I'm not a coastal grandma. I guess I'm a Park Avenue grandma. I tend to go a little Park Avenue grandma. So I think if you add some contemporary art or even flowers that aren't too fussy, that kind of makes it a little younger. Oh, and then the rug, I have, you know, these stairs lead down into my living room. It's great for open entertaining. The rug, I didn't want something too precious. It's just a cowhide. These are really, really great. It makes the space feel a little more relaxed. It's a little unexpected, but cowhide is great in a dining room because it's naturally stain resistant. Have you ever seen a dirty cow? I didn't think so, because their coat is so stain resistant. So any kind of water or any kind of liquids or any kind of spills just kind of wipe right up, because there's some natural oils in that cowhide that make it really easy to clean. It's nature's performance fabric. So this apartment is a pre-war building, and when you move to New York as a fresh out of college newbie, you don't even know what a pre-war building is. I'm like, which war are we talking about? But I guess it's World War II. So this was built in the 1930s, and it has everything I love about New York. It's the quintessential New York apartment. I watched a lot of Odd Couple growing up with Felix Unger and Oscar Madison, and I thought that's what all apartments in New York looked like. They all had railings, and they all had sunken living rooms, and they all had antique lead windows and a terrace. So I was really naive, but this apartment did exist. I actually looked at this building in 1991 when I first moved to the city, couldn't afford it. It was a very dark little studio, but I always thought, oh my gosh, Park Avenue. I had, you know, visions of Green Acres and Lisa Douglas and, you know, being out on my terrace twirling around in a chiffon negligee. And almost all of that happened. So I bought this apartment in 2003, and these pre-war buildings have great bones. I know we always hear that, you know, that saying, but when you have, you know, beamed ceilings, beautiful hardwood floors, sunken living room, you don't have to do a lot. So I really just did a cosmetic renovation. I zhuzhed up the kitchen. That was actually a pass-through, like a breakfast bar, and I was like, I don't do breakfast, I don't do breakfast bars. We're putting in a bookcase. So I did some extra millwork and kind of played up the Hollywood Regency-ness of it, even though that's not really a vibe for this era or area. I like that look, and I call this kind of glamorized Regency look with a lot of brown and a lot of earth tones Kentucky Regency, because my other love is horses and all things equestrian. And there's a lot of Kentucky vibes in here. Even though I didn't grow up there, it has been like a second home for me because of the horses. So there's a lot of Kentucky vibes in here as well. So then we come down here into the living room, and again, things are collected. I did not have a plan for this apartment. Just when I see things and I love them, I put them together and they usually work. And I've made some mistakes, but not often. So, boucle chairs, again, everything's very traditional in here, except for a couple of kind of fun, unexpected pieces that are more modern. These boucle chairs, they just have a great 70s shape. I put a little Kelly Wearstler kind of modern print pillow on here. This brass table was a Brooklyn flea market find. It has the horse hoof legs, which I love. I got the glass piece made for it. It didn't have the glass, not a biggie. You can go to glass places in any town and they will make a tabletop for you. One thing I collect are these Hermes ashtrays. I don't smoke, but they look gorgeous, and I put my remotes in them, or if I'm lighting a candle, I can put the spent match in there. I always try to have at least one thing of fresh flowers. In New York, it's so easy. You go to the deli. Masses of one thing are foolproof, and they always look better than, I think, an arrangement of all different kinds of flowers. So just go get a bunch of, you know, deli roses and jam them in a low, simple cylinder, and you have a very chic arrangement. This sofa I would call like a tuxedo style. I had it made from a person that makes furniture for me in Queens. It's in a silk velvet. Again, it's actually really easy to take care of. The pillows, probably Home Goods. These lamps I love. A friend of mine was making these, I believe, like in San Miguel de Allende. I saw them at High Point Market. I needed to have them. They're the serpents. And I bought them wholesale. I might have told them I worked for Tom Felicia Incorporated and used his corporate account. And then one day they arrived here on Park Avenue to my doorman building. Standing under my awning were 2 giant crates from Mexico. And my doorman's like, you've got some packages down here. And I was like, I'll be right down. And then I came down and they were ginormous and very much frowned upon. And I had to like take a crowbar, which I borrowed from the building, and open them up on the street and brought them up here. So they were very delicate. I live for them. This is from Stark, and I love all things like animal print. I think they're a neutral. I don't think of them even as a pattern. They just kind of fade away to me. This has been sandblasted by the nice people at Stark. It gives it kind of a threadbare, worn look. That's what I wanted right out of the gate. And guess what? It is the most durable. You do not know if it's dirty. I have never had this rug cleaned since I've lived here for like 25 years. I know that sounds gross. I vacuum it, I clean it. It has never been shampooed. It wears that well. Totally worth it. I mentioned my love of ceramic dogs. I have one in every house that I have. And this one I got at a flea market in Syracuse, New York. I was there for a horse show, and I had this little, trim on it, and I just love it. It was from Bonwit Teller. I just call him Harold, and he's just looking over the whole place. And then just lots of memories. Gallery wall, schmallery wall, like I just have a lot of stuff, so I'm gonna stack it here. My parents got me this. My accountant got me this. Florence Henderson from the Brady Bunch was a dear friend. A friend did me that drawing. These are pieces I picked up at horse shows before I even had an apartment. And people are like, why are you buying all this stuff? I'm like, because one day I'll have a fabulous apartment. I'm gonna need lots of stuff. The Requisite TV. Back in the day, you would put all of your, electronics in here. This is a Jonathan Adler piece. I've always loved his work. It's fun, kind of deco. Now I just have like extra bedding, pillows, things for when people stay over. This is a flea market find. This Degas was from the Bombay Company from like college or high school. Yes, I was the person that had a fake Degas in their dorm room. And then just horsey things. One of my first good ribbon at the World Championships. It's third, but I was overjoyed. So that's framed here. And this lamp is alabaster. It's so chic. I got this from Kyan Douglas from Queer Eye one year for Christmas. This mirrored piece, it's a little worn out. I bought this when we were filming in Dallas, and I went to the Neiman Marcus outlet and they had it. And I had to ask the camera truck to bring it home, and they wrapped it up in a blanket. And it has some nicks and dents, but who cares? It has a great story. I always think every room needs something green. I think it just gives a room life. If you live in a place that gets a lot of eastern sun, you will have no problem with a fiddle leaf fig. And what's great about them is they're kind of like an arid plant. And when you see them like in Italy and Sicily and Majorca, they're in dry settings. So I can water this like every 2 weeks. So if I'm not home and my housekeeper comes, she can water the plant for me. It's a great plant to have if you're not always home and you don't want to baby something. All right, we're gonna walk up here to the library. All right, so I love that there are so many moments in this apartment, even though it's really small. I think having the different levels coming up the stairs from the sunken living room to what I call the library, which is just a bunch of bookshelves, gives you the feeling of more space. So this used to be a pass-through. It went into the kitchen. It was like a breakfast bar. There were stools here. I was like, I don't really eat breakfast, but you know what I do? I drink. So let's put in a bar where a bar ought to be. So I just had them do this antiqued mirror. I think it's, you know, I like things that are aged. I think new shiny mirror would not work in here. A Saint Laurent marble slab. Lots of storage under here. Oh, look, an original collectible Destiny's Child Beyonce doll. Oh, is it signed by Beyonce? Thank you, Carson, for introducing me at the Roxy. Sweet dreams, memories. And then I did nailhead on the bookshelf. So again, a bookshelf. I did one of these at my farm in Pennsylvania. They're great for spaces that don't have a lot of interest because you can fill them up with all of your tchotchkes. And Joni loves tchotchkes. So I have my baseball that I threw out at the Red Sox game, Fenway Park, 2005. And apparently these are, you know, they monogram every ball for the person that throws out the first pitch. So when I threw out the first pitch very poorly, it didn't make it to first base or whatever, the home plate. And then when I was done, I just threw it up into the stands and people were like, you're an idiot. That was like commemorated for you. So they gave me a new one. We love the Red Sox. Love saddlebred horses. This is the greatest saddlebred horse that ever lived. It's his World Championship trophy from 1947. Oh, here she is. Queer Eye for the Straight Guy Emmy. Some pictures of me and my favorite celebs. Dolly and me. Joan Rivers and me, my favorite. You know, and you can't be gay and not have a photo of you and Cher, okay? Both of us dripping in Cavalli circa 2003. I had a mullet back then. My hair looked like Judge Hatchett. But just, it's tons of just memories. And I think that's what bookshelves are so great at. Don't buy your tchotchkes. Like, don't buy some weird little bowl or some figurine. Go to flea markets. Get family heirlooms. Get something from your mom or your dad. Put all of your favorite people in silver frames and have pictures of all your loved ones. Buy books, read books. That's always a great idea. You'll fill in your bookshelves before you know it. And I am not too particular about like bookshelf styling. I think I just, you know, I use my eye. I put some photos in front of the books. I put some objects. I have a lot of my silver. I do get a little crazy and color code some of the big stackable coffee table books, but otherwise I just let it be pretty organic. And I have a mixture of like books and photos and awards, you know, just peppered in here. Some salt and pepper shakers that I love, and just tons of family photos. And I can walk by here and it's just always good memories. Okay, so we're gonna head to the kitchen, one little pit stop on the way. So I mentioned that my dining room kind of used to be the foyer and I needed a foyer space. So when you walk in the front door, you've got a coat closet here. It's full of a lot of sparkly Drag Race numbers as overflow. This mirror, I think it was from Z Gallery. Like, it looks expensive. It was not. A little bracket shelf where I have one of my most prized possessions. Yes, that is my Joan Ranger's commemorative pin from doing Fashion Police with Joan Rivers. So I can keep my mail or like notes for the day right there, put my keys here. And then in the mirror, I just have notes from people that I love or people that I don't love but have great stationery. So Last Week Tonight, John Oliver, Julie Chen Moonves, Ross Matthews, Ryan Seacrest, my friend Matt Albiani, my fashion designer friend Teddy Von Ranson. Oh, Bobby Flay, that little cutie. What does it say? Carson, I am deeply in love with you. Oh, maybe I made that up. And then one of my friends from Kentucky always sends the most amazing cards with horses, Jason Chadwell. So he is up here as well, but also great memories. Not super effective for checking your hair, but Sometimes I move Ryan Seacrest, check the hair, and then I'm gone. You know, what I love most about this apartment is that it's quintessentially New York. It has a terrace, it has a sunken living room, it has those pre-war features. It's super cozy, it's super collected. I feel like a little prince up here in my little tower, and it just feels good. And I didn't even see this apartment when I bought it. I was traveling in Australia making a television show, but I knew I wanted to be in this building. This apartment became available, and my accountant and my best friend sent me a video. This is like before you could even, I don't know how they did that because it was 2003. I don't think you could send videos, but I bought it from a video, and I just love it. So, here is the kitchen, okay? Not gonna lie, I'm not in here too much. I come here for water, and sometimes some midnight snacks. And I have all my, celebrity friend cookbooks, Bobby Flay, Rocco DiSpirito, and that's actually funny because one time Rocco came over, we were all out like, I don't know, at a party or something. He said, let's go back to your apartment and I'll cook for you and all your friends. And I was like, unless you can make an 8-course meal with Sour Patch Kids and champagne, you're gonna be out of luck because that's all I have in my fridge. Like, literally, it's like champagne and some rosé and some olives from like 1974. Okay, oh, and some eye patches. It's like an episode of Chopped in here. What can you make with champagne and eye patches? Go. So I don't cook that much. New York is not where I do a lot of my cooking. It's where I do a lot of my takeouting. So I have all my menus here. Little cappuccino, espresso machine. I think putting artwork in your kitchen is totally fine. This can get like splattered up. It's just like a backsplash. It's just an old-fashioned print. I keep it kind of black and white in here. I love the black and white checkerboard floor. I think that is always classic, always looks fantastic. This kitchen is 25 years old, and you wouldn't know it because there was nothing really trendy in here. I have a little river view here, stainless steel appliances that I don't use too much. Oh, and here's a little trick for you kids at home. These cabinets are fake, okay? That's why there's no handles on them. But I used cabinet fronts to keep it really cohesive to make this space look bigger. This is New York City. So on the other side of these fake cabinets are built-in drawers for important things like socks and underwear. I usually keep shoes in the oven, and then that was a terrible idea. So I don't do that anymore. Oh, here's my poudre room. That's French for powder room. This is upholstered. Okay, this is Ralph Lauren zebra print upholstery. It's such a small space, and when you were in there and I was having parties and I have a speaker in there, the music was echoey, it was weird, and I was like, how can I make this soft and enveloping? So I did zebra print upholstery. It's got a little batting behind it. A wood toilet seat makes every toilet look better. They are so hard to find. I got this years ago. They're very, very hard to find online. It has a hammered nickel sink, which is cute. In the corner, more zebra print. I don't have a lot of like my famous like horses in here throughout the apartment, but I do have them in little moments. This is my favorite horse ever, Enchanting Memories, world champion with little old me, so very special. Flea market mirror, chandelier, faux ostrich wall covering on the ceiling. Do not forget the ceiling. That fifth wall is so important. I think just a plain ceiling looks unfinished. So I put wallpaper in this one in the bedroom, which you'll see in a second. I lacquered it. Don't forget the ceiling. So like I said, I've always loved horses. I'm a very horsey person. Some of the big moments in my career, this is as big as winning an Emmy. This was winning a world championship at the World Championship Horse Show. This one's from 2009. This is a 5-gated American saddlebred that I had since she was a baby. and winning that title. I still get goosebumps. Love this horse so much, and this was just probably the best night of my life. All right, maybe the second best. You know, I have lived in New York since 1991, and I have a farm in Pennsylvania, and I spend a lot of time in LA as well, but New York is home. And when I'm flying into LaGuardia or Newark or JFK and you see the skyline, you're just like, oh my gosh, I live in like the most fabulous, incredible, exciting, beautiful city in the world. And, but the flip side of that is that it's so easy too. Everything is at your fingertips. I can get on the 6 train. I don't even have to go outside, and I can be inside Bloomingdale's in 15 minutes. So like if there's a blizzard or something, no problemo. I can still go shopping at Bloomingdale's and not even get my hair messed up. Everything's easy, like takeout, delivery. And then the flip side is everything's hard. You know, getting things delivered and getting renovations done. That can be a little challenging, but I really do think New York City is the best city in the world. Not because we have all this exciting stuff, but I also think we have the best people. Here is where the mediocrity happens. This is my bedroom, y'all. And remember those cabinets in the kitchen? Well, this is where they stem from. This is the working side. And it's just kind of like a built-in ship's drawer. So I have just nickel hardware. Here are all my unmentionables. So it gives me so much built-in storage. That's really, really important in New York. You're always looking for that jigsaw puzzle way to find extra storage. So I didn't need as much storage in my kitchen. I needed a lot of storage for my clothes. And I get that by having this built-in go into the kitchen. We talked about Stark Carpet. I love them. I think they make the best product. I have no relationship with them other than I love their stuff. This is Antelope. Again, animal prints to me are a neutral. There's a lot going on in here as far as texture, but there's not a lot going on as far as color. So it makes it a soothing bedroom, I think. The walls are faux painted to look like brown and gray linen. The ceiling is lacquered in dove white. That gives me great reflection, great light. This room faces the East River, so I get those river views, tons of sunshine in the morning. So that white lacquer just bounces the light around. I have an antique alabaster light fixture. I think I got that at Urban Archaeology, maybe in the 2000s. I have a very old TV that doesn't work, that needs to be replaced. I have chunky curtain rods from Ralph Lauren back in the day. And I have a very heavy herringbone wool and cashmere Ralph Lauren curtain in here. They insulate the room. They block out the light. They make it feel warm and cozy. And I just love them. I've had them for 25 years. You clean them at the dry cleaner every so often, and they will last forever. We'll head out to the terrace in a minute, but we'll talk about the bed. It is a queen, shocker. And I have a little window pane blanket on here. A fluffy duvet. I got these all from Mandarin Oriental. They do a fantastic hotel collection bedding. I personally think all sheets should be white and crisp and amazing. I like that hotel feeling. It ironically makes me feel at home. I have a lot of pillows. I'm a pillow hoe. And Callista, Kelly Wearstler, Mandarin Oriental, and more nail head, very Art Deco, kind of goes with the vibe of the building. I like a swing arm lamp by the bed, obviously on a dimmer. Home Goods, 2000 era. This, a very dear friend of mine, Janet Crawford Hicks, painted for me. It has some of my favorite horses. I have Hackney ponies and saddlebreds, but I've also had Friesians and quarter horses and hunters, and it's just a really pretty painting that I adore. I also have a light on it. And then these are mirrored pieces from Venfield. They were one of my splurges. Like I said, everything's either from Home Goods or like from a really fancy place. These were from a fancy place. I just like the mirror. It's easy to take care of. You can put a glass of water right on it. And I just think it adds a little sparkle. The end tables, your light fixtures, those little accessories are kind of the jewelry for your room. So you want to have fun with that. And then my friend Jimmy De Laurentiis, he makes these fabulous teddy bears. I used to have it on the bed, but people thought I was into bondage or something. So now I put him over here with this Louis Vuitton pillow. And then more memories, more mirrored stuff. Pictures of my grandparents, my family. Oh, I love busts. Not the one you were thinking of, but these sculptural busts. I have them all over. I just like the way they look. This is my New York shoe closet. I have one elsewhere too. Gosh, there's so many memories with shoes and like where I wore them. Like these green patent leather Dior's. I wore these like the first time I went on the Oprah Winfrey show. Memories. These Gucci rainbow shoes I wore when I grand marshaled the Pride Parade. And I've done a lot of them. And let's see, what else? What are some fun shoe memories? Well, these are from Tom Ford, and they're made out of upholstery fabric that I have on one of my chairs. And one time, there was a fragrance launch party. It was on the top of the Rock, and Tom Ford kissed me right here. And then I think Jennifer Hudson kissed me right here. And then I was just like, how am I not going to wash this cheek for the next 34 years? But I've washed it, and I still love Tom. If you're watching, I have your shoes. Come get them. I have some Louboutins. I have these Buscemi's. Remember Buscemi's? They had a lock on them, like a Birkin bag. They had a sample sale. I went crazy. Oh, my first pair of Louis Vuitton shoes. I could probably throw these away. I think they're probably... And then a lot of Gucci. Like, there's a lot of Gucci. There's a lot of leopard. I've got a leopard loafer when one needs a leopard loafer. I have a leopard espadrille if one is wanting to wear leopard in Spain. I have a leopard running shoe from Prada if one feels they need to exercise while wearing leopard. And I probably have a leopard boot, and I'm sure I have a leopard sandal somewhere in here. So I have a problem. My go-to classic shoe that works with everything, whether it's a suit or jeans, spring, summer, winter, fall, is a Gucci loafer. And I usually do like a leather one because that's kind of seasonless. Sometimes I feel like the velvet or the suede looks kind of wintry. You can wear suede in summer, but I think this is a great go-to. No matter what season, what era, they're timeless, they're seasonless, and they always look good. I do love a slipper. So I love Stubbs & Wooten slippers. They make a million different kinds. And oh, more leopard. But don't look in this closet because it needs to be organized. Showbiz is very precarious. Like, you know, you're in one moment and then you're out one moment. And I heard this like rule one time, and I don't know whose rule it was. It's like if you can stay working for like 7 years, you'll be fine for the rest of your life. And I'm like, I'm not. It was like Andy Warhol's 15 minutes, but much longer. And I was doing some kind of talk show, and they said, how long have you been working in the business? And I said, oh, this is my 7th year. And I was like, ding, 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 ding. I think I'm gonna maybe be able to do this for a living. So knock on wood. Queer Eye was 2003. So this is my 21st year in showbiz. Got an Emmy for Queer Eye in 2005 and got an Emmy for Drag Race in 2023. So I'm still kicking. Okay, so again, not a lot of room in New York, so this entranceway was a great place to do floor-to-ceiling medicine cabinets, and I have tons of products. I'm embarrassed, but I have that on both sides. And then you come in, and it's not a huge bathroom, but I tried to do some fun things in here. It has a silver leaf ceiling that's real silver, so it gives it a little bit more reflectivity. I did a chandelier. I'm probably going to change that. I love this Venetian style mirror. I love putting a picture frame light over the mirror. I think I saw that at like the Mondrian or something in the late 90s, and I was like, I have to do that. Just white Carrara marble. I did pink lacquer on the walls. Everybody looks great in pink. So I could look like an old mop, and then I come in here and I look in the mirror and I was like, oh my God, my pink room is doing its trick. And it's making me just look rested and fresh. So this was way before there was a millennial pink. This is like a bubblegum pink, maybe a little softer, a little dustier. Like when you get a bazooka, look it up, kids, and you unwrap it and the bubblegum has dust on it. It's that color. Urban archaeology sconces. Here's a tip. When you get sick of your light fixture, you could put a funny bulb, like a Edison bulb, or you could get a new shade. And I just got these new gray linen shades, but I could change them out for pink, or they could be white, or they could be mercury glass. I have very simple fixtures from Callista. I have some personal effects here. Oh, look, it's a letter from Cher. So that's a fun little thing I get to look at when I'm brushing my teeth. A picture of Joan Collins, my cover of Vanity Fair. Oh, and I love monograms. So I always have monogram towels. I get them from Horchow. I order them online like every 2 years. They're Lauren by Ralph Lauren. They're not expensive. The monogram makes them look expensive. I told you I like busts. So I have two in here. I have a big bust, and then I have a little bust over there. So, and then monogram shower curtain, monogram bath mat, and also these little shelves. Again, when you're in New York and you're looking for ways to find space, I just have a little shelf here with my cologne. Oh, back in the day, you would watch TV in the bathtub. So I have a TV in here that swivels around. Oh, here's another thing I love to do. I frame Hermes scarves. And at the farm, I have tons of the big ones. But here, this is just a pocket square. And it was a gift, and I love it. And I just have it framed, and it creates interesting art. Again, don't be afraid to hang art in your bathroom. Yes, there's going to be moisture in here, but I've never had a problem with any of these framed things. As long as they're glass front, you can wipe them off. They'll be just fine. So there used to be a telephone here back when we had landlines. Google it, kids. What is next? I mean, I love design, and my favorite types of show to do are design shows, home renovation, home decoration. If you caught any of Get a Room with Carson and Tom, which I think you can watch online somehow, it was on Bravo. We did beautiful high-end rooms, and Tom did all the work and the sketching and the planning and logistics, and then I would show up like at the last 5 minutes of the show and like put an orchid on the table and be like, oh my gosh, I think we're done. I did more than that, and I really do know what I'm doing. But design shows are what I live for. I love creating beautiful spaces. I was a stylist at Ralph Lauren for a long time, and I also love creating, you know, like vignettes and moments and just pretty things to look at. And I think that translates from fashion styling really easily to home styling. It's about creating these beautiful moments and these magical moments and these kind of fantasies, and I love doing that. Okay, so I'm so lucky to have an outdoor space in New York. This is great when I have parties. It gives the whole apartment a circular flow. I can come out and wave to my neighbors. Hey, put a top on. I can see you. Oh, that is a top. Very wrinkled. This is great. I have a little settee out here. I have a couple plants. Oh my gosh, look, I have a fig, you guys. I grew this myself. I can like live off the grid now. I'm gonna enjoy this fig. Oh, it's actually really good. And enjoy my terrace, and thanks for visiting. Pop over sometime. I've got figs. Are there any more? That was really good. I think home means to me a sense of comfort and feeling enveloped. And when I'm in this apartment, and I just got back from a trip, I was in Lisbon, I was in Mallorca, I was in Sicily. I was working and having fun as well. But when you come back here, I can just drop my bags, I take a hot bath, I roll around in my comfy sheets, and it's just very comforting. It's kind of like the most fabulous hotel suite. And I know that's weird to say a hotel makes you feel like you're at home, but when you travel as much as I do, I like to come home to my own hotel. And this is it. All right, Homeworthy, thanks so much for coming to visit. I'm gonna go lay down and take a nap. That was exhausting.
Well, hello, Homeworthy. I'm Dorinda, and welcome to Bluestone Manor. I can't wait to show you around. Come on in. Hi, my name's Dorinda Medley, and of course you know me from The Real Housewives of New York City, The Ultimate Girls Trip, Making It Nice, and we are today at Bluestone Manor. We all know Bluestone Manor from Bravo, but I call Bluestone Manor the Disney of Bravo. I mean, it's become famous, it's become infamous, it's really iconic, I think. And I think of it as home, obviously. I think it's kind of a living, breathing, wonderful place where I am able to create, kind of be myself, entertain, and you know, always make it nice. You know, that's what you know me for. I make it nice, right? And for me, Bluestone Manor has a very special, special place because it was built in 1902 by Stanford White. And my great-grandfather, who was an Italian mason, came over from Italy to work with a team to help build the house. And then my grandfather, who also was a mason, worked on the house. And when I was growing up, I used to come to this house and just look up and think, oh my God, I would love to own this house. And it wasn't called anything at the time. And I used to say to my dad, one day I'm gonna grow up and you and mommy are gonna live here and I'm never gonna leave you. And so that kind of was my fantasy as a young girl, growing up in Great Barrington. And then about 6 months before I married my late husband, Richard Medley, he bought it for me as a wedding gift because he knew that it meant so much to me. He knew that the Berkshires meant so much to me. And you know what? Richard's not here, but the house lives on. When Richard surprised me and brought me to what is now Bluestone Manor, there actually wasn't a gate like there is now. And he just started driving up the driveway. I was like, oh my God, we're coming to the house I love in the Berkshires. We were obviously engaged. And he started driving up the driveway. And I'm thinking, what are you doing? I mean, we can't drive. He's like, sure you can, it's your house. And I said, what do you mean it's my house? He's like, well, you always loved the house. It's part of your childhood. You love the Berkshires. I want you to be close to your family. I want our family to be close to the Berkshires. I remember thinking about it as such a beautiful moment because I always, when I think about love and I think about commitment and I think about building a family, I think the biggest part of it is when people do kind things for you, things that make you feel safe, things that bring you together, and things that show you that you have a future together. So for me, it was, is, and will always be a very special place for me. And that's why we have a beautiful old 100-year-old tree in the back that is a tribute to Richard, that every year on his birthday we go and place some more flowers on and decorate it a little bit more. So Richard's here, okay? He may not be here physically, but believe me, he's wandering around somewhere here, hopefully saying I'm doing a good job. I'm making it nice, right? Well, here you are at Bluestone Manor on a beautiful fall day, and we are starting in the entryway where I greet everyone as they come to visit me. I love this entryway because of the fantastic original fireplace. Isn't this thing incredible? You could actually walk into it. It's actually no longer a real fireplace because it became such a burden to put wood into. It's actually propane now, but Welcome. My friend Greg Calejo gave me this sign, and it fits in perfectly. It says J'adore. So Greg and I sort of camped out together during COVID up at Bluestone Manor, and then he gave me this as a gift afterwards, which I cherish. And it kind of goes, right? That's what I love. If you decorate, don't worry about everything matching so much. Don't worry that it's perfect. Just worry that you love it. Then, and also put stuff in your house that says something about you. So when I come down in the morning and I see this on, I think of Greg, and I think, j'adore you back. So you look at this very modern light art, and then you look at these beautiful statues that we bought at Sotheby's. They were part of an estate sale, and they're so traditional, right? But, okay, it works. Or does it? Or who cares? I love fresh flowers. I think it is one of these things that takes a lot of effort, I know, but it makes such a big difference. I always have fresh flowers here, and I always have fresh flowers in the city. It is a luxury that we should all afford ourselves. But let's go into the billiard room, one of my favorite rooms. Come on in. Wow, the beautiful and colorful billiard room. This room is mainly a room that we frequent at night. It's especially good on a very cozy, cold winter night. This fireplace is actually a real fireplace because I thought you need to have the crackling wood and the smell of firewood late at night, especially if you're drinking a little Bluestone Manor bourbon, right, and telling all your secrets. I love it here because it just feels so homey and warm. And of course, we are great collectors of books. Richard and Hannah single-handedly put this whole library together. They know every book in this library. And if I tell you, if I remove a book, Hannah knows it like this. And I don't know if you know this, but we always have some sort of Christmas tree set up at Bluestone Manor every season. This one is sort of become a permanent installation because I love it because it represents all the colors of the room. If you look at the ceiling, you can see that every color in the ceiling has seeped down into this beautiful, beautiful Christmas tree. I sit here at 5, 6 in the morning quietly with the little lights on, and it just makes me feel so cozy and home. So we love this room. But I know you guys don't know this room as well as you know the famous blue room. That's where the peacock lives. Come on in. Yay! And here she is. Oh, let's see if the peacock's still here. There she is, keeping watch, jewels on and everything. The peacock was given to me by the famous Douglas Little, who I love. He brought this as a gift from me. It was at Barney's, and I saw it, and here she is, constantly on the lookout, making sure all is well. And if you look at the colors in the peacock, they pretty much evoke the colors of the room. We also have this famous painting by Jennifer Heffernan. So many people have put their faces on this painting and done memes. So she is famous. She's almost as famous as I am, if not more famous. And this is always a good photo moment. Look, it makes me feel very lady of the manor, right? Holding a glass of bourbon, maybe just lounging. Very early 20th century, don't you think? The enthusiasm of buying the house kind of led into, oh my God, what have we done? Because obviously I knew the house from the outside. I knew the history of the house. I knew that my grandparents and great-grandparents had sort of worked on it and had known the house. And it was sort of a famous house in Great Barrington. They called it one of the Berkshire cottages. But the reality of the house was that no one really sort of took an interest in it or did anything to it for over 100 years. They kind of patched it up and lived in it. So when we actually got the house, it was a bit horrifying because there was like tube and wiring, and there was newspaper in the walls, and the plumbing didn't work, and the heating didn't work, and it went from being a place that I sort of was like, oh my God, I have to. This is really bad. Like, this is an old man, and it requires a lot of attention, and it's not giving us any money. So we kind of, but I remember Marshall Watson, who ultimately was the decorator, the interior decorator and friend that worked on this house with me. I remember him saying something very interesting to me at the time, because I just wanted to do it, get it done. He said, why don't you spend a year living in the house, and you'll figure out what you want of the house, house and what the house will want of you. And I always think about that, and I say that to so many people when they move into places, because we're so quick to decorate and think what we want to have and must have, and this is what we're going to do, and we're going to have a bowling alley and swings and blah, 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 and fancy kitchens and all that. And then you live in the house for the year and your real life kicks in. And what I learned about that year was obviously how we were going to live in the house, what we needed of the house, what the house needed of us. But I also realized that it went from being a renovation to almost like a restoration. So although it's very modernized and it has all the bells and whistles and air conditioning, and I realized that the house really needed to be honored and to be restored and to be acknowledged and to be studied and to be researched. And that's why I think it took so long, because it wasn't just like throw paint on the wall and hope for the best. We really, really took a lot of time combing records, speaking to people whose grandfather and great-grandfather actually worked on the house, and they were still doing the same sort of artisan work, got them all back in here. Richard said at one point to me, I think we have the whole goddamn town working in this house. And I said, I think we do too, which was great, because now it's beloved by the town, because everybody has their hand in it a bit, which I love. We have several piano players in the family, including me at one time, although I'm quite rusty. And of course, I love this because you could just sit here in the afternoon, early evening, and just relax and enjoy. I love this room because I think about all the memories we've had here, all the great laughter, all the pre-party drinks and the post-party dancing. We're big dancers up here at Bluestone Manor. Well, you know, I'm a big Madonna person because I know all the words. I mean, Vogue is always very good because it kind of goes along with my aerobics that I've done for years. Come on in Vogue. You know, very easy for me. Anyway, and of course we have the famous karaoke machine, because what would a party be without a karaoke machine? Now, I always say the great thing about karaoke machines, people see them at the beginning of the evening and they're very afraid of them. But about 10, 11 at night, we're all fighting over the microphone, which means you're having a good party, by the way. So this is beautiful, the great bar with, of course, my Bluestone Manor bourbon. This guy is, so when I originally was putting together the house with Marshall Watson, we divided the room up into two places. That was sort of land, and I wanted this to be more sea. So this sort of antique mirror is supposed to evoke the sea a little bit. And this is the famous Neptune coming out of the ocean to greet us. I like things that are very ethereal and sort of like the gods and the goddesses. I really love all that kind of thing. I like things that are talking pieces and people are like, why is that there? And then before you know it, you have a full cocktail party. No details overdone. I love a good finished ceiling. You don't see it often. I think people are a little afraid about painting their ceilings. They do it a lot in Italy. They do it a lot in sort of British houses. I see a lot of painted ceilings, or I've seen a lot of painted ceilings in like Charleston and stuff, but people don't realize this is wallpaper, but it changes the whole sort of feeling of the room when you add color or wallpaper. You know, I could just do endless things. I always have a candle on, always. I wake up in the morning and put a candle on. And as I always said, I always have fresh flowers. I mean, that's the beginning of feeling cozy and warm, right? Fresh flowers and a candle, how can you go wrong? You can have a teeny tiny apartment, right? You put in a little thing of fresh flowers and you put on a candle, you're all set. The interior of the house, that has been much talked about. You know, it's funny. I love it. And another great story about Marshall Watson, who basically spent 3 years with me. I felt like by the end of it, I should have married him because we spent so much time with me. And also, this is a really funny story. When I started the renovation, Richard said, you know, I started coming home with all kinds of stuff and ideas and boards and fabrics. And he was like, listen, I'm going to be super honest with you. He said, I love you to death, but I have zero interest in being involved in this project. This is yours. He said, when there are towels in the linen closet, the beds are made, there is, you know, food in the refrigerator and the heat on, I will come up. Otherwise, I do not care if you paint that house pink, purple, and white. Just do not talk to me about it. I'll never question you about it, but don't bring me there until I can turn on the TV and, you know, enjoy it. So, and that's what happened. So Marshall Watson became sort of my pseudo husband during that time. And, when we were first walking through the house, Marshall, who's more of a traditional I would say interior decorator, beautiful stuff, incredible, great finish. And the reason why I hired him is because his eye is so good architecturally. He understood spaces, and I think with the Stanford White House, you have to really understand and appreciate the light in the spaces. He said, what are you thinking about? What are you dreaming about? Like, how do you envision this? I said, well, if I had my druthers, I would say it was Frankenstein meets Marilyn Monroe with a touch of Downton Abbey. He's like, I think we can do that. So you can see I'm not afraid of color. And it's very interesting. The house sort of evolved over certain pieces. Like my friend Douglas Little bought me this incredible peacock, this bejeweled peacock, and I brought it into the room we're sitting in now, and I decorated the whole entire room around this peacock. And then I did the billiard room because I'd gone to Hearst Castle, and I'd remembered I loved these designer gilt curtains that had many colors, so I did that, you know. And it sort of continued there because I wanted people to, listen, it's not important for me to love my style. It's not important for me to say that you want the same house. What's important for me is that you walk into my house and you say, it's not offensive to what the original house history is. It could have looked like this in 1902. And that you get to know a little bit more about me. It's not perfect. It's filled with color. Not everything matches, but it's a home. And I want you to walk away from Bluestone Manor saying, wow, that was really an incredible experience. And I kind of know Dorinda Medley a little better. I think a really fun place to go to next is where I make it nice all the time with my cooking and stuff, and where you've seen many iconic scenes, to the dining room. Let's go. One of my favorite art pieces, and we have a ton of beautiful art pieces in the house, is this Marmite piece. I'll tell you why, because when Hannah was living in London, she was there until she was about 7, she grew an affinity, like all British kids do, for Marmite. Marmite is something, I think, unless you grew up with it, you just can never acquire the taste. I mean, I would put it on toast for her, and she would be like, this is so yummy, Mom, I love Marmite, and gnaw on it. And I think to myself, well, maybe it is good. And I try it again and be like, oh my God, this stuff is awful. So when I saw this piece by this artist, I thought, I have to have it. Hannah should really have it. When she gets married, I'm going to give it to her. But this is an ode to Hannah Lynch's love of Marmite. When her teeth were coming in as a baby, she'd gnaw at it. It looks so good, but tastes so weird. This is the dining room. And what I love about the dining room, I don't know if you noticed, but as you come down the hallway, I started with this beautiful green because I wanted to have people have the feeling of indoor to outdoor, right? So when you start, even though this is obviously an indoor dining room, you start to get the feeling that you're approaching outdoors. And this is all original wood paneling. That was a mess when we bought it. It actually took 6 months to restore it. It was such a process of covering it, heating it, oiling it. And I was gonna paint it a different color, but then this is the original color that it was. And I thought, you know what, I'm gonna keep it the original color and just go with it and make it sort of like a little kind of green, very luxurious, fancy, keep it sort of a green, sort of very, I don't know, Venetian. You know, this is beautiful Italian fabric evoking the outside. I love color. I'm not afraid of color. I mean, obviously, I love greens. I love blues. I love any of, you know what I love? I love any of those very beautiful colors. A lot of my inspiration came from my Catholic background, going to great churches and looking at all those stained glass windows. I love those bejeweled colors, colors that are very deep and rich and warm. As you can see, I'm not sort of a white on white person at all, right? And these are the famous statues. If I had $1 for every time someone has asked me about these statues. These are the Chinese horoscope, and Richard bought them for me ages ago in London, and they are perfect for here because I didn't want to put anything on the walls. I didn't want to put any nails or anything, so it looked very like, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? So these have worked out perfectly because they kind of pair with the chairs. So we found an incredible blacksmith in town called John Graney, and he's like a real old-fashioned blacksmith. He's worked all over the world, and he managed to recreate all of the ironwork in the house as it was in the early 20th century. Can you imagine that? I never have an unset table because I always think you should be ready to entertain. And I always say, always have a setting in case Jesus Christ shows up. That's something Diane Sincala would say. When I buy china, and I love buying china, I have a great china cupboard I can show you. I always buy 16 plates because, you know, as the night progresses, you never know who's going to knock on the door and want to join in. And I always say, more people, more the merrier. That's the motto of Bluestone Manor. We just keep pulling this out, making it bigger and bigger and bigger because it sits 16. And I love that. So there'll always be a seat for you at Bluestone Manor. Always enough food, enough plates, and enough booze. Come on, let's go. And what I really enjoy about my life right now is that I have sort of many personas, right? I have my New York City life, which is very social and out and about and, you know, fashion forward. And then I have my life at Bluestone Manor, which is, you know, really the essence of who I am. My family lives down the road. I grew up in the Berkshires. It really is who I am fundamentally. You know, I love to entertain. I love to caretaker the house. I love to create. You know, I usually wake up and I spend my mornings sort of walking the property, stretching if it's beautiful out. I love to stretch outside. I love to be in tune with nature. Going into town, I still know everybody in Great Barrington. It's so funny whenever someone says, well, I'll talk to so-and-so in town and see if they're able to do it. I'm like, oh, stop it. My grandfather used to play poker with his grandfather. Don't even, you know. So I feel very connected to the town still. I go see my parents. And then I'm always filled with projects up here. You know, if it's not decorating for the upcoming season, it's recording something or creating something or cooking or planning the next great dinner party or figuring out what kind of wacky new table setting I can put together. Because I'm very, when I entertain, I'm very theme-based. Again, I want people to come and sort of have, you know, once you come through those gates, right? I want you to feel like you kind of enter a new world. And I always say to people when they come and visit for the weekend, Friday is yours. Saturday, do what you want. You can lay in bed all day. You can leave. You can lay at the pool. But Saturday nights, you better be in the blue room, dressed to the nines at 7 o'clock for cocktails. And I always do kind of a themed dinner. I think you saw it today. So this is the famous china closet. This is part of it, but we have china for every occasion. We have the famous peacock. We have our great formal Christmas. We have butterflies. We have Christmas. We have fish plates. We have fun plates. I mean, you have an occasion, I have a plate. And this is not even all of it. A lot of it is house downstairs. And then my crazy glassware. I love all this stuff. What is Hannah going to do with it all when I'm gone? I often think about that. Yes, we're not short of fun things to set the table with, but now let's go to where it all happens. Because, you know, not only do I love to throw a dinner party, but I like to cook for the dinner party. So when you come to Bluestone Manor, pretty much I have cooked pretty much everything. Oh my gosh, everybody knows what my signature meal is. I'm very famous for my Bluestone Manor lasagna. It's the biggest request. I'll always say, hey, what should I make this weekend? And everyone's always like, well, make your lasagna, which is, I have to say, one of the best. Yes, I do have a secret about my lasagna. You have to make it with a lot of love, and you gotta make it beforehand, and you have to freeze it first. So whenever you make lasagna, you've gotta make the sauce ahead of time, let that sit. Assemble the lasagna, and then freeze it. Then it really gets all marinated together, and then take it out and thaw it, and then you cook it. And I'm telling you, you will never want anyone else's lasagna again once you had mine. And always have an extra pot of sauce you serve with it. And don't be cheap with the cheese. Nothing is worse than a lasagna with a little cheese. I hate that. I'm like, why bother? You did all this effort and you can't just cover it with cheese? We're about abundance in this house. So today I did a little bit of a pre-fall I guess, Halloween thing. These are my favorite. These are chocolate covered skulls. Aren't they the cutest? And this, and I think you're gonna really love this. I mean, what is better than having my tell you how I'm doing that well bitch glass, serving a little bit. See where we're going with this? Bluestone Manor bourbon. Maybe having a great slice of my pumpkin bourbon maple glazed loaf and listening to oh, I feel in the mood already, don't you? Yum. Woo! Okay, she goes on forever, so let's kind of go upstairs. The name Bluestone Manor, I cannot take credit for. It happened in season, I think 3 or 4. Don't quote me on that because they've all blended. But Carol Rosywell was said to me, leaned over the table and said, you know, you really should name this house. I said, yeah, you're probably right. She said, yeah, a house is much more interesting when it's named. I mean, God, could she have not been more right? And because the house is made with a lot of bluestone, and it's actually stone from the property, which is interesting, she said, why don't you call it Bluestone Manor? And it's stuck. And it's just, it seems like it's been its name forever. Like, I can't even look at it historically and think it was anything other than Bluestone Manor. So it fits. Thank you, Carol. Well, now, of course, we're gonna go upstairs, and I know the big topic, take your shoes off. No shoes upstairs. I don't know if you know this, but I had little Bluestone Manor rules and regulations. Very simple, but no food upstairs, no shoes upstairs. I know, that's a big ask. Because you know why? I had this carpet especially made for the stairwell. It's a stark carpet. It's a collab with Missoni. So you know what? I want to keep it nice. You know, I think when you have a country house, you know, the house is over 100 years old. You know, as much as we keep it, I think, in beautiful condition, it's also a country house, and you got to be very aware of, you know, the outdoors loves to come into the indoors. So we have to make sure we don't have any nibbles or bits for them. Oh my God, this is a great picture. So when I was little, my grandfather used to pick me up every morning, and I mean like 6, 7 on the weekends, and we'd go feed the chickens. And it was one of the first lessons I learned, because he used to let the rooster chase me, because when you try to get the chicken's eggs out in the morning, the rooster gets very angry. He used to let the rooster chase me until I learned to have enough confidence and authority to let the rooster know that I was the big shot on the barnyard on that day. And it really did teach me a lot about, you know, walking into somewhere confident. I know that sounds weird, but I had this little painting made because I just think it's so beautiful. That right here is the original owner of the house, Mr. Stanley. How great is that? So this is my grandfather feeding the chickens. So he's with me in the house. Isn't that beautiful? Where are we going? You know where we're going. We're going into the infamous fish room. Now, the fish room has been redecorated, as everyone knows. And when I did choose to redecorate it after the flood, there was an outpour of sadness. So, of course, everyone, don't panic. We still have the fish. They're here. The shark is over here. But this is the infamous fish room with the amazing bathroom that looks like a ship. We actually had a ship maker come and do this. So it's a kind of a direct replica of a real boat. And it was my stepson's room. So we love that, don't we? I love the fish room. Housewives for me came at a perfect time because Richard had just passed, Hannah left for college, and sort of all the things that I kind of really identified with at the time were sort of like poof, gone. And, you know, I'd been involved with the Housewives throughout the years. I knew all the girls very well. They're all friends of mine. And, you know, they'd always ask me, would you consider, I kind of was always in the background, would you be a friend? What would you do? Would you consider it? Ramona was always pushing me to be part of it. So when it came to me, it sort of was a perfect timing because I felt like it was the first time for me that I wasn't a wife or a mother or worried about other people. I just could be myself, and it almost served as a therapeutic process for me. And it was a part of me that I didn't really understand, you know, that because my whole life it's always been like catering to my parents, catering to my husband's, catering to my children. Happily, it was roles I loved, but all of a sudden I was doing something just for me. And I always say the first day I filmed with Ramona, I'll never forget it, in the Hamptons. I remember the cameras were there and they came on, and I truly remember thinking, I like the cameras and the cameras like me. And it just kind of went from there. And I really just let it progress the way it was. I try to be as authentic as possible. I try to just let the process happen. And I have grown tremendously. And I always say, what people don't realize is the incredible platform that this Bravo Celebrity gives you, or the Bravo platform gives you, and the incredible reach to people. So although you have to go through your highs and lows with it, and the macro effect is that you just are able to reach so many wonderful people. When I talked about what I went through with Richard and Richard passing, I cannot tell you the outpour of people that I connected with. And I just found that so powerful. The thing I love about the rooms, I really allowed the children to sort of have great input, because you got to remember, I moved in here, gosh, almost, let's think about it, 20 years ago. It's hard to believe that. And each child, I said, how would you like your room? Obviously, Aiden wanted the fish room because he was an avid fisherman with his father. Paige wanted more traditional English. And Hannah wanted something a little bit more eclectic and fun. This is my favorite thing, the melting chandelier. I love that. And we built in this beautiful piece. This, my favorite part about this is, it's done like an airplane. So she could at night do her homework or watch TV. How fun is that when you're a teenager? And of course it's all kitted out with electrical and all that. And I think what you're really gonna love, and I mean it, Hannah helped me the whole way doing this. She has like a George Jetson bathroom, I swear to God. Each bathroom is like very distinct to the child, but I love this bathroom. Bizazzi does these tiles, and they let you do anything. So you go in there and it's thousands of colors of tiles, and you put them together the way you like. And her favorite thing was the disco ball. Yay! What teenage girl doesn't want a disco ball in her dressing room? It's the best. I love this room. I'd like to move in here. One of the things that Hannah loves the most is, I think this was one of her favorite things I got her, were Pucci skis. I mean, talk about crazy. She always says to me, are my Pucci skis still there? I'm like, oh yeah, they're there waiting for you whenever you want. And of course, Hannah loves a good globe. So I saw this globe at Barney's and I had to get it. There's something fascinating about a globe, right? You always learn something new no matter how much you look at a globe. So now let's go into my room. Wait, how did you get into my room? Not many people are allowed in my room, but I'm happy you're here. So this is my room. Oh, I see that Len has laid out my beautiful robe. Do you recognize this from the Prohibition dinner? How early 20th century is this? Very sort of like 1920s. I love this robe. I wear this for special occasions, usually when I just have very limited company, which isn't often. Anyway, this is my bedroom. I love it. This coverlet is one of my favorite things that Marshall and I did. It actually was a wall tapestry that I saw hanging at the D&D building. And I bought the tapestry. It was a velvet kind of tapestry. And then we built out the fabric around it. So I thought that was so clever. And I love the red on red. And the great thing about this room is that it just changes as the day goes on. So it looks kind of one way now, but at night, oh boy. At night, you should see how it looks if you're lucky enough. But I want to show you something really fun. This is the secret piece here. Okay, I can put a little fire on. I can get in my cozy bed, and my favorite companion, television. Never lets me down as long as I pay the bill. So everyone, I think the last place I'm going to take you is downstairs outside. We'll look at the property, and then I'm going to have to say goodbye to you because I have a lot of decorating to do for Halloween because I need to make it nice for everyone because you count on me. So let's go. Woo! Such a beautiful fall day. Bluestone Manor is at its best in the fall, I swear. And I love sitting here with the fire on, and of course we've got this beautiful, famous now lady that Tremendous Flowers put together for me. She recreated the painting that's in the living room, so you can see it's kind of very similar. Now she's become a fixture in the house. We need to name her, folks. So tell me, DM me, what should we name her, all right? She's always waiting for me. So now let's go down and see some of the grounds. Because believe it or not, the outdoors of Bluestone Manor are as beautiful and as interesting and as used as the indoors. And we only have a couple months a year, obviously, to enjoy it. So I put in this fountain. None of any of the landscaping was here. We put the whole thing in. It was basically just empty. So we put in these beautiful trees, which at the time were like this big. And I put in this fountain because I just thought my bedroom's here. The sound of water is so peaceful. It's very good for your nervous system. And I love going to bed at night listening to it. There's something about a fountain that makes you want to do two things. Just relax and jump into it, right? Come on. And then the beautiful and much used pool. So here is my beautiful pool. I love this pool. We use it a ton, and I created two purposeful seating areas. This umbrella opens up into a huge umbrella. And we really do like entertain and eat out here. The next addition to the house is going to be an outdoor kitchen, which I'm working on for next spring, because I just love indoor-outdoor life. And I was very, very lucky because Frontgate had contacted me last year and said, you know what, would you consider letting us design your pool? Can you imagine? And I thought, oh, they're going to send me a couple pillows, maybe. And look what they did. They literally sent every piece of furniture that is here. We could be in Saint-Tropez. All we need is some great Claude Shaw music on. And the thing I love about this is, you know, you can be spending the afternoon as the day kind of draws closer to the evening. It's so beautiful just to sit, perch here, which is my favorite place to perch late afternoon, with maybe a little glass of rosé or something, and just overlook. It's all about creating peaceful places. And one thing I was very conscious of when we were designing the outdoor is I wanted transitional places. So the pool's one area. Then you go down these stairs to the maze area, and every one of these steps were taken from my property, the stone. And that's another area. And then sort of the pathway, which we'll walk over to, that's another area. And then of course the front yard. So you really can do so many different things and entertain in so many different ways. As you know, we had the incredible Prohibition dinner in the maze and the proper dinner over there. I was thinking the other day, I really need to go on holiday. You know, I haven't been on holiday for so long. And then I was thinking, you know, with the airlines being so crazy and expensive and I was thinking, what are you doing, Dorinda? This is vacation. I just need to sometimes turn off and remember to just enjoy it a little bit. I think the thing that's amazing about Bluestone Manor, and as my mother said one day to me when I was worrying about this and worrying about the trees, she said, let me tell you something. This house has been here 100 years and it will be here 100 years after you, regardless of what you do or don't do. Because this house, as beautiful as it is and as grand as it is, it really is part of something bigger. It is sort of, I really fully realized it during COVID when I, for the first time, had spent this tremendous long period up at Bluestone Manor. And I remember as quarantine progressed, there were more and more animals on the property, and more birds, and more things that I didn't really take in, because, you know, I'd show up on Fridays, get ready for dinner parties in my company, you know, worry about sort of the very superficial part of the house, and not really take in consideration that this house lives and breathes within an ecosystem that is going on regardless if I like it or not. And to watch the way nature is sort of engaged in my house. Like, I would wake up in the morning and a bear would just be sitting there at my pool, literally at my pool, or there would be birds swirling around, and I just realized that a big part of Bluestone Manor isn't just the brick and mortar, it's that it actually kind of fits in what is going on in the ecosystem here, and I truly really respect, appreciate, and are aware of that. Even with a lot of the plantings I do, I'm very aware who or what, how it's going to attract. And things I've put up that have been disaster areas, like, oh, I'll just put out a big thing of seeds on the tree, and then I see, you know, 2 bears ripping down everything. I'm like, well, that doesn't work, okay? Because I have to be very respectful that this is their property. I am just sort of a visitor and the curator of it for a very short amount of time. Believe me, they own it much more than me. If they don't like something, they let me know it. I was sitting one morning, it was like 5:30, 5:45, and I was sitting on the back side of the house having coffee, kind of enjoying the property, thinking, oh, it's so quiet, it's so nice. And I looked down at the apple tree where Richard's sort of tree is. It's an old apple tree. And there was this tremendous coyote looking at me. And he was staring at me like, what are you doing here? And I swear to God, it almost had a face. I was like, oh. And it didn't look like it bothered at all that I was sitting there. Like, I was bothered that I was sitting there. And it was so powerful and so meaningful that I literally was like, oh, I'm going to go inside now. And do you know that coyote did not move? It stared at me and stared at me until I went into the house. And then it slowly, once I got in, I kind of looked out. It kind of got up and slowly thought, well, okay, we're done with that business here. That I really felt like a little bit of an intruder in my own house. So I have a huge respect for, you know, all the things that are going on. I consider them my protectors in a way. We get each other. You know, I kind of leave them alone. They leave me alone. Hannah calls me Snow White. Hannah said during COVID, I became a little bit very hippie. Like, I was really going for it. I was taking herbalist class and poultices classes and, you know, dressing in all the hippie clothes. And Hannah said to me one day, she woke up and she saw me going down, doing something. And she said there was a swirl of birds around me. She said, you have literally turned into Snow White. Like, you got to get back to the city, Mom. It's now getting weird. So now let's go to the backyard. And this is sort of the beautiful backyard with all my roses and bushes. And I'm outside a lot. I love to be outside. I love to just sit here and listen and sort of take it all in, especially early evening. I think early morning and early evening are 2 of my favorite times up here, because it kind of like, I give myself a moment in the morning to reflect, and then I give myself a little time in the afternoon to relax. Everyone knows I love a good nap, and I've taken many naps on that hammock, many. And just beautiful. I always say this to people, home is a place where you feel safe, and you feel loved, and you feel welcomed. And home is a place where you are able to just be yourself. Be your authentic self and be creative in the best way possible. And home is a place where you can really regenerate, you know, kind of heal yourself. When I feel like it's getting too much, or whenever I feel like I'm getting overwhelmed, I literally remove myself from the city, plop myself back at Bluestone Manor, and just allow myself to heal and breathe in the beautiful air and see my parents. It's not about all the stuff. Listen, I love the stuff, but this is home. And I say that to people when they're entertaining, when they're decorating, just make it, always create the feeling that you are loved, you are welcome, that I'm so happy you're here. And of course, a good meal doesn't hurt, right? Well, I think I've shown you just about everything I can at Bluestone Manor. I hope you've got to know me better, Bluestone Manor better. I hope that we made it nice. I hope you're gonna come back. But now, it's time for you to go because I need to relax a bit. Thank you for coming, Homeworthy. I hope you enjoyed it. And I hope you come back soon.
Hi, Homeworthy. I'm Jasmine Roth, and this is our house in Huntington Beach, California. Come on in.
You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story. Before today's episode, click the join button below to support all of the storytelling we do on this channel. Our growing community of members help to directly fund more videos so we can capture these extraordinary homes from around the world. So join today to receive early and exclusive access to new Homeworthy videos.
Hi, I'm Jasmine Roth, a host on HGTV, and we are here at my house in Huntington Beach, California. So we call this house the Roth Homestead, and it is a new construction home that took me 3 years to build. It was a labor of love, and I say that because I was also filming my TV show at the same time. So 3 years for new construction isn't unheard of, but it was a lot of work. This was just dirt, and we built this nice big house here. It's a family home. It's a California casual style, and yeah, it's one of my favorites I've ever done. So new construction is a little different in the sense that you can do anything, right? So imagine just like a patch of dirt. What are you gonna do with it? And so I think the hardest part of building this house was figuring out exactly what it was that we wanted and how to stay within our budget and how to work with the city to make sure that everything was within code. So we added a pool, we have a garage off the back. Everything changed as we were going through the process. And you change one thing, it changes all the other little things. So yeah, new construction, definitely a challenge, but well worth it in the end. I think the other thing that was really important was to make sure that like, as we were building the house, it didn't feel sterile, right? A lot of times something that's new can feel like somewhere you don't want to be. And I didn't want that at all. I wanted it to feel homey and welcoming and like a place where you just want to hang out with your friends and family. We entertain a lot. We have a 4-year-old now, but at the time we were just getting into having kids, and so we knew that this house was going to have to grow with us. So yeah, there was a lot that went into making sure that it didn't feel like somewhere that you just walk into and you're like, oh, this is a new house, nice. So adding a lot of personality, a lot of unique features. We went with a lot of vintage, which was really fun, and around every turn, just doing something that really felt like us. So now we're inside. This is the entry of the Roth Homestead. And right off the entry, we have this room that we're using as an office. It's also, I mean, it could double as a first floor bedroom. So when we built the house, that was really important. I actually built this room for my grandmother at the time so she could come and live here because there's no curbs. So it goes right into the bathroom. The bathroom goes right into the shower. And so you don't have to worry about steps, which I think was really important. We have this room set up as an office, and to do that, I actually bought this table, which is an outdoor table from Serene and Lily that we put in the middle of the room. I always say if you can sit and look out, it's way better for your psyche as you're sitting and working versus like facing a wall. So just food for thought. If you're setting up an office, try to put yourself in the middle of the room facing out. So this is from Leanne Ford's collection for Crate and Barrel. I love this woven art piece. I use it all the time in my projects. So why not here? The rest of this furniture, my idea was to use a lot of different like wood tones and leather tones in here. So as you can see, we have like this walnut console that kind of has that mid-century modern vibe. And then I paired it with these industrial shelves, which I love because they're completely adjustable. So each of these brackets, this is how they used to build shelves, and I think it's really cool. These are from Anthropologie, but each of these brackets, you can actually adjust the shelves. So depending on what you want to display, sometimes we have books. In the holidays, my husband has a nutcracker collection that goes on these shelves, which is really cute. So there's a lot of different opportunities to display different things and kind of have this room grow and change. I mean, if you're working from home, you probably know how important it is to have your office feel a little bit different every now and then because you're in that one room a lot. So it's fun to kind of mix it up, make it feel different. And I think this furniture allows for that. One of my favorite things in this office is that I get to put my book on the bookshelf. How cool is that? So The House Story is the book that I wrote in 2021. It's the insider secrets to the perfect home renovation. This is my little dog at the time in his little dog cave, but inside of the book are all of my tips and tricks and photos of not just this house, but a lot of different projects that I've done. So yeah, if you're going into a renovation, this is the book you need. So the flooring on the entire first floor is this large format porcelain tile. It has like a concrete look, but the idea was that it feels a little bit more finished than concrete. Also, because we laid the tile, we were able to heat the floors. So having that like ambient heat, it doesn't get that cold here in Southern California, but it's nice to have sometimes when you're walking around barefoot. They're very hard, but at least they're warm. I think California casual can mean a lot of different things, but for me, it usually means really functional design, right? So here in Southern California in particular, we do a lot of indoor-outdoor living. We're so lucky we can just like leave our doors open, leave our windows open, let the fresh air in, and use our outdoor spaces almost like we would our indoor spaces. So for me, California casual design is a mixture between just like a very like laid back feel, right? No shoes, no shirt, no problem. But really, like, you have sand on your feet, you're coming back from the beach, you're gonna shower off, you're gonna hop in the pool, you're gonna come inside, and you don't wanna be worried about your house and about messing up your house. There's kids running around, there's dogs, there's, you know, just everything's happening. And I think that's a big part of building in the California casual style. For me, from a design standpoint, there's a lot of natural wood, there's a lot of light, bright colors, there's not a lot of clutter, and I think that's really helpful. So there's a lot of organization and just having that like really casual vibe. So you can just come in, you can sit on the couch, you can put your feet up, and it's really welcoming. Okay, so that's the office. Right across the way is the dining room. By the way, this is our dining room on the cover of HGTV magazine. That's why that's sitting there. It looks a little different. So this is probably our third rendition of this dining room. Right now I'm kind of in my neutral phase. So we've got this nice big custom table. A friend of mine made this, and he's also a carpenter. He's on my show a lot. His name's George Bernal, but he made this table custom for this room because it's a massive room. Like, it's a really big room. So figuring out the scale was really hard. Having a separate dining room is something that a lot of people don't do these days, especially in new construction. And we wanted to have a room where we could gather with our friends and family that just felt a little bit more, I don't know, buttoned up than an eat-in kitchen. So when you first walk in the door, you see this giant flag. And this was a piece that I bought at a vintage swap meet, and it's made out of this really thin material and dyed and stamped. And so an artist did it, and then we had it custom framed. This house has really high ceilings and big rooms, and so having like big pieces of art like this is really important. The other thing I love in here are the ceilings. So these were also done by my carpenter friend George, and they are white oak. They're stained a little bit, but they're meant to look pretty natural. And you know, new construction, everything is just drywall. So it looks just like this. And we put this wood treatment actually over the drywall to make it feel like it had some architectural charm, right? So yeah, this light that hangs down is also pretty big. It's made to look, it's kind of like a play on like a candelabra, but also to look like driftwood. So it kind of gets the whole notion of the fact that you're at the beach started. This rug I love. It's very neutral. It's cozy. A lot of people forget to put a rug in their dining room, or they're scared to put a rug in their dining room because they have kids, which I get. But at the same time, this is a really inexpensive rug that I think does double duty because it not only makes the room feel finished, but it also makes it feel like somewhere you just kind of want to like hang out for a while. Without this rug, this room feels cold and uninviting. So yeah, I would definitely opt for a rug in your dining room. This corner I actually love too. This is kind of our catch-all. As you walk in the door, we keep like our keys and that kind of stuff in here. Behind this cabinet is a TV. My husband loves TVs, and I try to hide all of them. So this one is hidden behind a cabinet, so all you do is you just lift off the panel and there's a TV behind there. So each cabinet's a little bit different, and you would never know that that holds a TV. In case you know, you can't have dinner without watching TV. I don't know. He loves TV. We host all the time. We have friends, we have family that come over. I mean, we have no problem having 25, 30 people over on a Sunday, big dinners, lots of people. And so this dining room can really serve that purpose. When we were building the house, we laughed because it kind of feels like a church. Like it has the ceiling going. And before we put the furniture in here, we're like, we could host a wedding in here. Like, this is a really big room. But we've used it. We've had Thanksgiving. We've had birthday parties, so many different events in here. And also, I mean, this is a great table to just come in if you're like working on a big craft or a big project. You can kind of spread out. And so I love that as well. I always say that my career path into where I currently am today was a happy accident. So I encourage people to really go into any sort of home renovation or home construction with an open mind, because for me, it turned into my career and it was an accident. So I started building a home with my husband. We actually were building 2 houses as an investment project on the side. I was in corporate America and I had no idea how much I was going to actually love the building process, the design process, working with all the different trades. And it became an opportunity for me to actually follow a passion that I didn't even know I had. So yeah, I think happy accident is the best way I would describe my career, with a lot of hard work and a lot of commitment behind it. But yeah, so being in the home design world, I think there's a lot of different ways to get into it, or even into the construction world, right? Some people go to school, that's great. Some people are formally trained, like an architect or an engineer, that's also great. Some people kind of follow into it, like I did, and you have to go in really curious, really humble, and just knowing that nobody knows everything, and just ready to learn. And so, yeah, I still feel that way. I still feel like I don't know everything, and that's okay. And that's actually what's exciting, because I show up every single day and I get to do what I love. I get to be curious, and it's okay that I don't know everything, because we're all just learning together. Okay, that's the dining room. Let me show you the kitchen, but on the way there, I have one room to show you. All right, this is our powder bath, which normally, you know, it's just a small bathroom, but I tried to squeeze as much design into this room as possible. So this is definitely that California casual design, in the sense that we've got our vintage skateboards on the wall, which is really fun. But I paired all of these vintage skateboards, which they just lift right off. So, you know, if you want to take a ride around the house, you totally can. And the kids sometimes do. But I paired it with this more like buttoned up, rather formal, rather traditional wallpaper. So you have the ticking on the wallpaper, the stripes. And then over here for the sink, and this is a custom console that we built to house this stone vessel that was actually a baptism sink that we drilled a hole into. So this is vintage. And then the light up here, if you can see that, this is from Schoolhouse Electric, and it's kind of got that mid-century vibe, just kind of like tied all together. And it's a mustard yellow color, which I think is really fun. So there's a lot going on in a small bathroom here. Now to the kitchen. All right, so this is our little eat-in kitchen area. And here I paired a banquette, so that's nice and comfy, with some vintage chairs. And we did an oak treatment on the walls just to kind of make it feel almost like a little bistro. So we sit here a lot. We actually eat here quite a bit, hang out as a family. It's nice to have this option, even though we do have the dining room. I mean, this kitchen is all about entertaining, right? And the idea behind this was to have lots of space, so like giant fridge, giant freezer, 2 sinks, like all the things you'd want if you're hosting a lot of people, but then also to make it feel really inviting and really homey. So I gotta show you this, come over here. Okay, so this is a built-in paper towel dispenser. So instead of having the paper towels on the countertop, we actually have them right here. And the cool thing about this is, so you can just pull out if you need a paper towel, there you go. But the cool thing about this is you can store your extra paper towel rolls right behind it, and you would never even know it's there. It's all tucked away. You guys need a paper towel? Yeah? One of my favorite parts of this entire kitchen is this sink. So it's massive, it's vintage, it's real vintage. And I got it from an architectural salvage yard that was near my grandmother's house in New Jersey. I bought it before I even owned the land for this property, but I knew that someday I would use this sink. So when my contractor went to install this sink, I was working that day and I came back after work to see it installed and it wasn't installed. And I called him and I said, hey, I thought we were installing the sink today. And he said, yeah, I don't have the sink. I said, no, it's the vintage sink that's on the ground. You put it, that's what we're gonna use. And he was like, what? Why? Why would you put that old sink in a new house? And I had to like fight with him to install this sink, but it's one of my favorite parts of the house. I think it's really cool. It's scratched, it's worn. You can tell that it's been around the block, and that's why it's awesome. So we use this sink all the time. It's a great sink. Love, love, love. The other thing about this kitchen that's really special is we did a lot of different countertop materials. So on the perimeter, we have marble, which we did a UV coating on, which is kind of like when you go to get your nails done and you put them under the manicure light for the gel nails. So the same idea. And it makes it so that the marble is more resilient, it's durable, it's more like a quartz almost, but it's still that natural material. So you get all of that like natural veining, which is really cool. And then on the island here, we actually have two different countertop materials that we had to perfectly blend together, which was a little bit tough. So this is actually a granite. It's called a leather finished granite. It's black granite, that's what it's called. And so it has a little bit of texture to it, which is really fun. And then that pairs with this oak countertop that runs all the way down for the seating area here. So this is just the same white oak that we have throughout the entire house, but then it's stained black. So having these two different materials is just a little bit different. Why not, right? We also have these industrial style pendants. They're not vintage, but they're made to look vintage, which I think is really fun. Speaking of which, this window, let's see if I can do this with my pregnant belly. Might be in the way. This window opens to the outside. And so this is a new vintage window, meaning that it's made to look vintage, but it's actually brand new. It's custom made for this opening. It pockets all the way into the wall, and it gives you this kind of indoor-outdoor living. So you can be in here, or if this is open, like this, disappears all the way back. And now I'm sitting on a bar stool and I'm at a bar. How fun is that? So we have this pass through. So we use this all the time when our friends are here. And it's just kind of a fun place to hang out. This is our outdoor living room. The cool thing about this is that in this cabinet, we have 3 TVs. So the fun thing about this is that during football season, we take this couch, we flip it around, everything faces this direction. So you've got 3 different games on, snacks on the bar here. We've got multiple trash cans that are built in and recycling. I know you didn't come here to see trash cans, but I love trash cans and I love organization, so I'm gonna show them to you. But yeah, so out here, this is just kind of a really great place to hang out, watch the game. You're outside, you're with your friends, you're connected to everybody inside. When we were setting up this area, I kind of wanted it to feel just like you would inside, like an outdoor living area. So you've got your living room, you've got your dining room, you've got your kitchen, right? So you kind of have different seating areas and everybody's together. This I would say is open concept. Everybody's together, but you've got this great big table you can sit at, you can hang out, you can turn your chair around, you can watch the game, you can turn your chair this way, you can see people in the pool. So everything kind of ties together, but it does feel like you've got these different moments. So this pool is really interesting because when you go into the water, there's a separate speaker and there's music in the water. So when you're swimming around underwater, you can hear something different than what you might be hearing in the courtyard here. And that was something I was at a hotel and I went underwater and I heard a song and I came back up and I couldn't hear it. It took me a little while to figure it out, but it was so cool. I was like, I have to do that in my own house. So yeah, if you were to go underwater right now, you would hear a song. Okay, so next to the pool, this is our cedar barrel hot tub. And this we built in as an above ground hot tub, but it's actually set down into a well and it's made out of cedar. So we got this from Canada, it's imported, it's the real deal. There's no chemicals in it, it's all natural, and the idea is that you can go in here, rejuvenate, recharge. It's supposed to be very good for like your skin, we spend a lot of time in here. This is the party zone over here, but also where we relax at the end of the day. So there's jets that turn on and it fires up just like that. So you go in there, you relax, you hang out, come in from the beach, you can shower your sand off, get right into the hot tub. The beach is right up the street, so this is kind of the dream right here. Outside we use a lot of different materials. We have the wood that we tied from the inside of the house. This is a corrugated metal, so it kind of feels like a barn almost. And then on the main house we have board and batten, which is painted this brown color. It's actually Sherwin-Williams Homestead Brown, which is interesting because we call this the Roth Homestead. And we started calling it that before I ever picked the paint color, so I don't know how that works. One more thing I have to show you. This is my favorite part of our entire outdoor area, and that is our vintage water fountain. So this was a salvage piece from Santa Monica City College. They were doing a renovation, and I saved this pink water fountain. And my husband's like, what are you gonna do with that? And I was like, I'm gonna put it in a house someday. So today is that day. I rebuilt the entire inside. It has filtered water in it, and you can kind of just, I don't know, I grew up using a water fountain at school. And so this is kind of like a nod to my childhood. You can turn it right on like that. If you're thirsty, you get out of the pool. Delicious. You know what I'm saying? Who is that? I think it's just one of those really fun things. It wasn't that much of a big deal to install. And it kind of gives purpose to this part of the yard. Plus the kids use it all the time. They think it's awesome. I think it's awesome. Okay, so through these big doors here, this big custom arbor, and this is what we call our bonus room. I don't really know what else to call it other than this is where the fun happens. So this room has been through a lot of iterations as well. My favorite part of this room is this vintage bar. We built the house around it. Obviously there's lighting that we hung above it. We've got the bar kind of behind it that has all of the functional pieces, because this is actually an antique piece and it's not connected to the floor or anything like that. It's just a piece of furniture essentially. But it kind of gives this whole side of the room purpose. So we use this bar a lot. In the back here we have a little sink. There's a hidden ice maker, a hidden beverage fridge. And speaking of hidden, this bookcase is actually a hidden room. And so this is our little speakeasy. Come on in. So we hang out in here all the time. I went to the lumber yard and I bought these, are called cedar grape steaks. So they're not aromatic cedar, but they have a little bit of a hint of that smell. So when you come in here, it kind of feels like a cigar lounge or like a really nice cedar closet. It definitely feels secret. And then I paired that with a grass cloth plaid wallpaper. So anyway, this is our secret room. It does have a window. I guess you could make it into like an office or a wine room, but we have it as just like a little place to hang out. These little guys we brought back from Japan. My husband and I are big snowboarders, so we love going to Japan in the winter to snowboard, and we brought these back from our very first trip. This is my husband and this is me. Other fun thing here is this is a bar. These bar stools I found on Wayfair and I thought they were so fun. They look like corks, right? That you would put in a champagne bottle or in a wine bottle. And I've never seen anything like them before or since. I think they might still be for sale, but they're like one of my favorite things in this whole house. When I was building this house, the very first thing I did, before the house was even finished, as soon as this wall was done, I hung these custom photo ledges. And so these are photo ledges. I've done these in pretty much every house I've ever had. Usually I buy them from IKEA. I had my carpenter make them for this wall, but the ones from IKEA are also wonderful. The idea is you can just buy a bunch of frames, put a bunch of photos up. They don't have to be fancy. They can just be like selfies off of your phone. Actually, this photo over here, this was the dirt of our house. This is the land where our house is built on. So like we're standing right there. And that hole, that's the pool. So this is what this looked like before I built it. That's our neighbor's house. That's the neighbors behind us. Pretty cool, right? The reason I wanted to put this photo wall up before anything else is because these photos, I mean, these are photos that make me happy, they make my husband happy, they're friends, they're family, they're good times, they're pets, they're snowboarding, they're all the things that we love. And so I think it's really important in our homes to not just focus on the furniture and the finishes, but to do projects like this, where we're adding things that make us happy, that make our homes feel personal, that make them feel like they're undoubtedly ours. And being able to do that, that's what makes your home feel like it's really home. Build your happy is something that I say every single day. If you follow me on social media, you see me talking about it. It's become this mantra for what it is that I kind of have dedicated my life to, right? And so this is a movement, we're all in this together. And Build Your Happy is all about trying to figure out how to be happy, which I think is what each and every one of us is actually doing. Happiness is not a destination. Happiness is a journey. And in my opinion, it's incremental, meaning that to be happy, we're actually adding up. It's the sum of a lot of little happy moments. And as we add those up together, we can find this like general feeling of happiness. And I think it means something different for everybody. For me, it's a lot of celebrating the small moments, not like glossing over an accomplishment or a moment where you could actually stop and be like, oh, wait, this is really cool, right? So it could be something as small as like, oh, I washed my car today, go me. Or it could be something, a little bit bigger, but just stopping, taking a breath, celebrating those moments and letting yourself be happy, it does add up. And, even if you're going through a rough time, Build Your Happy kind of applies in the sense that it might not feel like it, but there's always something to be happy about. And it's okay to focus on that. So yeah, I think, it means something different to everybody. Everybody's at a different stage, but it's all about just working together and knowing that we're all just doing our best. So my top design tips for helping to build your happy within your home are, well, I have 3 of them. So the first one is, don't underestimate how awesome your house is, okay? And I mean that in the nicest way possible because I love my house and I know I had the opportunity to build it, but not all of us feel that way about our homes. And I haven't always felt that way about my home. And so actually like accepting your house and realizing that there is opportunity in every single space, every house, whether it's an apartment, a dorm room, a giant massive mansion, it doesn't matter. There's an opportunity to build your happy and you can lean into something. There has to be something that you like within your house. So it's just a matter of finding the thing that you actually like about your space and then leaning into that. And I know that's easier said than done, but I'm here to tell you it's possible. And the second thing to help build your happy that I would recommend from a design standpoint is making your home as personal as you can. And being okay with that, right? A lot of people think that your house has to look like a showroom or a model home all the time, and it doesn't. It needs to look like somewhere that you live so that when you walk through the front door every single day, there's something that makes you smile, and that will add to your overall happiness. And the way you can do that is, there's a lot of different ways, but anything that's personal. So if you love movies and you collect the little movie stubs from the movie theater, frame them and do something where instead of putting something that you love into a drawer, get it out of the drawer, put it up on a shelf. Photos are a great way. I mean, everybody, you don't have to do a fancy photo shoot. You can definitely just use selfies off of your phone or, a picture of your dog's nose. That's always my example. But, something that just makes you smile, right? So you can frame that, put it on a shelf. Every time you see it, you're guaranteed to smile. That's going to help with your happiness. So personalize, personalize, personalize. And then the third thing that I really think helps with a home is adding things that aren't necessarily brand new. And it doesn't have to be like old and like falling apart or like a fancy antique, but having things that have a little bit of a story and feel a little bit worn and feel a little bit tattered can really help make your home feel a bit more welcoming and livable. So you walk in, it doesn't feel quite so precious, right? You can just sit down, you can put your feet up, because there's these objects around you that feel like they have a story. And maybe there's a little bit more to them than just, oh, I went and bought this off the shelf at a big box store. So yeah, those are my 3 tips, and good luck. Okay, so in case you guys are turned around, this bonus room is connected kind of like a big circle to the rest of the house. So the living room's right here. If you wanted to have these rooms separate, like if everybody was partying in there but you wanted to hang out in here and be quiet, this door closes right up. So this is a custom door that pockets away, it's secret, it has this wire glass in it, which I think is really fun. It kind of ties into the industrial lights that we have in the kitchen and the industrial shelves that we have in the office. This little area under the stairs, I wanted to make sure that we didn't forget about it. So we have a little reading area, a little cave for the dogs, and it's a little pet cave. Oh, one more thing. So this stair, the first stair we actually did in marble, which is a play to the countertops in the kitchen, and it kind of ties in the marble we have in the rest of the house. And it kind of notes a transition in the flooring. So from here up, everything is wood. From the marble down, everything is that gray porcelain tile. Let's go upstairs. So this is our hallway upstairs, and I love this space because it should just be a hallway, but I actually feel like it's so much more than that. So once we built this little wall, which is what the architect called for, I realized that it didn't feel high enough to me, especially with kids, and especially after we added this little day bed. So I added these panels. They actually can slide in and out. So sometimes I have different panels that go in here. Once we had a whole Connect 4 game in here. These ones are actually a caning, which goes in the middle of this custom frame. This area could just be a pass-through, but instead it feels almost like its own little room. So you have a day bed that we can have guests sleep on. Under here we have tons of storage. So normally our snowboard clothes are in here. That's where we store all of our extra gear. And then this wall it looks like a built-in. The crazy thing about this whole built-in is that it's fake. It's not real. So none of these actually open. And it's actually just a flat wall. So imagine a flat wall that's like super boring. You could just put a TV on it, but instead of just putting a TV, I did this whole built-in, because now it feels like it's inset into the wall, and randomly, even though it's sticking out a little bit further, it makes this whole area feel wider. Okay, so this is our primary bedroom suite, and this room is all about calm, chill, relax. So we kind of have that vibe going throughout. The furniture is from my website, and I wanted to go with furniture that felt really cozy and comfy, but also kind of brought in the wood tones that we have throughout the house. And then this light I hung on one side. So we did a pendant light on one side. This is from Anthropologie. And then on the other side, we went with a lamp. And this is something that I do pretty regularly because I think it's just fun to have that mismatched feel. It doesn't feel quite so formal, and it feels a little bit more, I don't know, casual, laid back. The fireplace over here, this is a custom white oak mantle. So this fireplace surround is mercury glass. So it's a mercury glass tile. And then the rest of the surround here, where it doesn't need to be non-flammable, this is actually a grass cloth wallpaper in a plaid print. So it kind of ties in on both sides of the room. You have the same wallpaper. And the ceiling in here, I wanted again to make it something other than drywall. So we did a painted ceiling. And this is one of my favorite colors. It's Sherwin-Williams Colonnade Gray. It's a beautiful, just like neutral gray color that goes with everything. It adds a lot of depth to the room, in my opinion, even though it's on the ceiling. Come on into the bathroom. We spend a lot of time in our bathroom, so we wanted it to be a place where everybody could hang out. And by everybody, I mean myself, my husband, my daughter. We have nice big vanities, which is really fun. We brought that black stain back up onto these cabinets. Tons of storage right in the middle. This is a Samsung frame TV, so it's an art TV. So it looks like art, but it's actually television. Again, my husband loves to watch TV. The countertops in here are marble, and we went with a variation that has a lot of gold in it. So we really leaned into the countertops from downstairs, but just making them even that much more like bold and dramatic. And so they have a UV coating on them. You don't have to worry about the marble soaking up any of your bathroom products, which I think is nice. And then the floors are also marble. So we use the same marble material throughout, but just in different cuts. So there's a hexagon material on the floor, that matches the wall tile behind the tub here that runs all the way into the shower. This tub is one of my favorite parts of the whole house. It's actually vintage. I salvaged it from an old surf shack up the street and then had it completely refinished. So it's got its gold feet down there. And we use this tub all the time. It's my daughter's favorite place to take a bath. So it's fun to have something that's a little bit, you know, old in an otherwise new space. This chandelier, I feel like compared to the tub, it feels very Art Deco. So it brings in kind of another vibe in this space. It's got some of that glam going. It has the glass on it. So yeah, this is one of my favorite pieces to kind of pair with the very traditional vintage tub. All right, I have one final thing to show you. It's in here. So this is our toilet room. Here's the toilet, but behind the door, I don't know what to say other than there are a lot of TVs in this house. Actually, there's 17 TVs in this house. My husband loves TV. I have a TV show, so I'm not opposed to it. The more TVs, the better. I think home to me is more of a concept than it is an actual physical structure. And I say that because I do move quite a bit and my family moves and I grew up moving around a lot. And so to me, I think home is more where the people that you love are and the people that make you happy. And so if I'm with my family, if I'm with my friends, that's where I'm happy and that's my home. Okay, you guys, so there is one last little bit of news, and that is that our family has decided to move to Utah. So this house is actually on the market and could be one of yours really soon. Thanks for coming by.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to go to homeworthy.com for exclusive content, shopping guides, and so much more.